Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Friday night live stream. Hopefully everybody's week has been good. And we're just all settling in for the weekend. A little RoK for me. A little exercise. A little crypto. Not a lot of work. Work's a little slow, so we're just going to relax. And we kick it all off with the typical Friday night live stream. RoK, welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. I expect that people will start trickling in as the stream goes up. Sorry that I was late again. I seem to always be late for these live streams. There's always a good bit to set up. Oh, Greg. Shout out to Greg. My teammate Greg, who actually did, I thought he might have a zeroing for us here in the 2975 KvK, where there was a player right here that was getting swarmed, imprisoned and swarmed, but Greg was correct that this player was online, and so it looks like they just baited their enemies into taking some deads. But we will check in on the 2975 KvK, which is basically over. I think as expected, 2975 lost their 14 versus 1 in Kingsland. But there might be a little fighting here going on. You know, there's still a little scrapping going on here. So we'll check that out as well during the live stream. If you know, if people just want to hang out and chat and watch that KvK, I am more than happy to do that. I do have my Barb camps on cooldown here, so I'm going to start the stream off with a little grinding, get my rewards from doing this Barb camp. I think I have 5 marches here, right? Yeah. And there we go. I will say this about Rise of Kingdoms in its current state. I feel like it's a little bit buggy with the targeting. I feel like sometimes you'll select all your marches, but they won't all be able to target things. It's just a little bit... It's just a little slow, right? But I think that's just the state of gaming today, honestly. I enjoy watching New World streams. I've never actually played New World, but I just sort of enjoy the team fight aspect of it. You know, they'll do organized matches that are about 50 players on 50 players, and the PvP seems pretty good. Sneaky, welcome to the stream. Shout out to 2217. I actually just compared 2217 stats to a bunch of other A Kingdoms on RoK board just last night, Sneaky. I was like, I'd been watching Big Kane's KvK, because Big Kane is another YouTuber who did a couple days of live streaming his wars, where you not only got his POV, but you actually got the full voice chat of their entire alliance. So I really enjoy watching that sort of content. So I was just like looking at his Kingdom 1981, and I was like, how do they compare to us? How do they compare to 2217? How do they compare to 1393? What else did I throw in the sort? I think I might have thrown... I think I tried to throw 1682 in there, but 1682 wasn't on RoK board. Anyway, shout out to 2217. Nice to know there are some strong kingdoms out there that we could potentially face in the future, ally with in the future, whatever the case may be. Natsu, welcome to the stream as well. I think what I was talking about was the responsiveness of the targeting, which it just feels... It's like not crystal... It's not like super smooth, you know? It's not like World of Warcraft type smooth. And I feel like New World is the exact same way. When you watch people in New World fight, it's like a little bit clunky. It's like because they're processing so many actions, each action is like an individual... It's an individual distinct thing, and so the individual actions don't flow into one another smoothly. And I think that's kind of what happens with Rise of Kingdoms as well. And you see it most in Champions of Olympia. Where in COO, you really have to, like... you have to almost time your actions correctly. Like, time when... you know, when you're done killing one march, for example, then your marches are going to stop. They're going to stop doing anything. Unless they're being attacked, they're going to stop. So, like, you have to just almost wait a tick for the enemy march to die, and then you do, like, a very clear targeting of the next target. Like, you see right now that I'm, like, doing the circle targeting rather than zooming out and doing the click targeting. Obviously in something like this, the click targeting works fine. But I feel like in COO is just so choppy that I just like to do like a very firm circle target of my next commander, or of my next opponent, with all my marches selected. And then maybe, just maybe, the wall attack. But there are just so many times, there's so many... See, even right here, right? Like, not all my marches were attacking there. I don't know why all my marches were not attacking there, because I did a right-click move to that target. But just what seems to happen in Olympia quite a bit is that your marches do not attack. You select them to attack, but they just simply do not attack. And of course that happens in KvK as well. We have a lot of people in KvK who will be in a ball. They'll be in a ball with all their marches, and they're right-clicking stuff, and their marches are literally just standing there. You see the blue camping message of the marches. You see this blue camping message, and they're literally standing among the enemies, trying to attack, but it just doesn't happen. Sneaky says, likewise, it's always nice to hear that there is still some competition out there. When you get a chance, check your PMs. Alrighty. Oh, interesting. Pioneer Heroic Anthem and a regular Heroic Anthem. Oh, the remastered Heroic Anthem. You know, I don't know if I've heard about the remastered Heroic Anthem. Was there a... Where are the developer notes? Is it here? Yeah, was there anything about a remastered Heroic Anthem? Algebra, welcome to the stream. That just says, yeah, I was playing HDT today and that was happening a lot to me. Yeah, it's just a little bit, you know, it's a little bit unresponsive or a little bit unreliable. I think that's the better example, is that it's unreliable. Because ultimately, like, when you do right click, it tends to be very responsive, right? Like, you can right click and then immediately your marches will react, but it's a little bit unreliable. And I think that's something that with experience, we're all going to get better at. I don't know that I've gotten way better at it, but like when I actually focus in a KvK fight, I do tend to have my marches actually targeting something more often. Sneaky says it's a regular HA with new graphics. Yes, the new graphics are definitely coming. I can give you, I think, a bit of an insider info there and say that new graphics are definitely coming soon. And hopefully I will be able to give you, I will be one of, hopefully I'll give you a, you know, I'll be able to show you the new graphics before they're out for the public. Let's just put it that way. They're definitely coming soon, though. Definitely coming soon. But that's interesting that they're actually offering it in like an upcoming KvK, right? Because this is only like, you know, so this gives you a really good timeline for when they're expecting to have the new graphics out, actually, because Sneaky's got two days of matchmaking, or 2 days of choosing, and then it's like, what, like 4 or 5 days of matchmaking? So that's like a week. And then you've got a week of Eve of the Crusade, or 5 days of Eve of the Crusade. So really, the Heroic Anthem Remastered is only maybe 12 or so days away. Which I think is a reasonable timetable, based on what I know. But yeah, it's coming really, really soon. Regular HA, Remastered HA, and Tides of War. I don't know, that seems like a pretty good pop. Tides of War. Oh, we played Tides of War, but I wasn't very involved in that KvK. I was like super busy, so I didn't really play it. The one thing I know about Tides of War is that it's the one KvK where if your garrison commander goes to 0, then it stays in the garrison. Which definitely takes one skill out of the game. I mean, swapping to a backup garrison is like a skill. It's a skill thing for sure. But I think I don't know how I feel about that mechanic. Hopo, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Everybody be sure to throw on... Everybody be sure to throw a like on the stream. That helps get the word out. Let me also go until... Let me go ahead and advertise this stream in a couple of Discords. But yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where with the garrison captain staying until the rally ends. On the one hand, it does take a bit of a skill out of the game that we have traditionally been good at. But I'm going to be honest, in this most recent KvK, we were pretty freaking bad at swapping to a backup. Like, we were genuinely bad at swapping to a backup. A lot of times we did not have a backup ready, and there were just so many things happening during those fort rallies that I was just never prepared to swap to a backup. The other thing, and I don't know how other people have experienced this, but there was a time period where you could actually click on the forts and the flags. Like, I think in the KvK that we fought against Sneaky in 2217, in that KvK, we were actually able to click on flags and click on forts quite easily. And so there was no value to standing on a flag or standing on a fort. But then in this most recent KvK, it was really hard to click on buildings. It was really, really hard to click on buildings, like as hard as it's been in a very long time. And so that is a big reason why we were bad at swapping to backup captains. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's actually a good change. As much as it does take a skill out of the game, leaving the garrison captain in until 0, I think it's a good change because it's just so annoying. I mean, it is so annoying to switch captains in a garrison. And it has been annoying for a long time. And, you know, I have figured out certain things to make it better. The one thing that they have done that's better in this game is now when you have a march inside of a garrison, and then you click on this bar on the right, like you'll see a march. Here, let me go back to the home kingdom and show you guys. Because this is actually like a really good change, right? So like, you know, if you have a bunch of marches, let's say you have a bunch of marches that are just sitting in cities, right? So you've got your 5 marches in this bar here. But one of your marches is in the garrison being attacked, and you have these red swords on the march. Now all you have to do is click on that march, and it will pull up the garrison. Like, it'll pull up everything that's inside the garrison, and then you can swap captains very easily from there. So that is one thing. That is one thing that's been changed that's positive. However, on the negative side, it has once again become very difficult to actually click on a garrison. When people are surrounding a garrison, when there's swarmers, when there's people standing on a fort or standing on a flag, it has once again gotten very, very hard to click that building. And, you know, I think that again goes to like sort of the unresponsiveness, right? Like there's just an unresponsiveness to this game that has always been there. You click certain things and it simply does not register. And so, you know, we've got a graphics update coming, and quite frankly, I think the graphics update is going to like change all of that. I think it'll probably improve certain things, and then there will be other things that are annoying that come up. You know, because there's just so much there's so much going on in a war, like in an actual war scene. Let's go back to this let's go back to this 2975 KvK while we talk here. Oh, did I miss it? Here. There's a better way to do this. Yeah, there's just like so much going on in the war scenes that inevitably these sort of bugs and unresponsive aspects pop up. But it's not the best. It's definitely not the best. It's so brutal when you're like, you prepare a backup, right? You prepare a backup captain. You've got your best gear. You've got like your best infantry gear on a backup captain. So your Guan is getting wrecked in the field. Your March is just sitting there in the city for like 10 minutes, getting ready to be a backup. It's finally your time to be a backup. And all you spend the next 2 minutes literally just clicking on a fort, never once getting the window to pop up where you can reinforce stuff. Or that you can never get the window to pop up to actually swap the captain. So, you know, they're slowly but surely making that process easier, but yeah, I think it's fine if we just like let the garrison captains. I don't know, it's tough, man. It's so tough. It's so, because popping a garrison captain is like part of the offense, right? That's part of the actual offense. Why is this not working? I only have the neutral camera here. So yeah, I mean, here's like another bug, right? Like here's another freaking bug. We're just talking about different things about RoK that aren't working right. I should be able to select one of these camps. I should be able to go into this KvK and select one of the camps and have that camp turn blue. And yet I'm not able to do that. And now now I have no pop-ups in my city, right? Resources aren't popping up. You can't see the blacksmith. It was recently a day change, so I should have some things on my tavern to open the legendary tavern up. You don't see the Peerless Scholar. I mean, what is happening? All right, so here we go. Yeah, so now everything pops up now. Let's try to go back into this KvK and see if we can use the new spectator mode. Nope, still bugged. Like, this is still bugged. Do I want to restart this? I mean, we're spectating the 29. We're spectating the 2975 KvK, where essentially they were a pretty big A kingdom camp. Oh, that's another kingdom. This is actually another kingdom I threw in the search last night, Sneaky, was I threw 2975 in the search. And 2975 is basically the same size as our kingdom, 1770. And they allied with Wind Camp over here, who got locked in. This is... What map is this? Yeah, so this is Alliance Invictus. And basically, Fire Camp up here, 2975, they allied with Wind. Wind got locked in. They did manage to lock Earth Camp in. But these other three camps here all have 4 to 5 D kingdoms. They have 4 to 5 D kingdoms in each of them, and so they all went into Kingsland earlier today, and it was literally a 14 versus 1. 14 kingdoms versus 1. And I knew right off the bat that 2975 was going to lose. I mean, it was... I mean, listen. If people remember way back in the day... Way back in the day... 1401, which was Redline's old kingdom. I forget who else was in that kingdom, but it was like LIIG was in that kingdom, and I'm blanking on like the main alliance. I feel like LIIG was the second alliance. I forget who the main alliance was. But this was like Redline's kingdom, and they did a 10 versus 1. They did a 10 versus 1 KvK. And they lost. They were like a huge whale kingdom. Huge whale kingdom. And they lost 10 versus 1. So I friggin' knew for a fact that an A seed like 2975 was absolutely 100% going to lose a 14 versus 1. Like, there was no doubt in my mind. So it looks like the Arvix account is the leader of this right now. They do have a moon. They won the Osiris League. So this is a kingdom that has won the Osiris League in the past. They have played RoK anthems so far in their SOC journey. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think this was either a diplomatic failure by 2975, or they were just like way overconfident. Like, egregiously overconfident. Netsu, I was going to say Death Squad. I kept wanting to say that it was Death Squad's kingdom, but I just, for some reason, thought maybe... For some reason, I thought Death Squad was in like a 3-3-3-2 or something like that. But it might have been Death Squad. Yeah, 1401 might have been Death Squad's kingdom. Because I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. Sneaky says, we ain't close to the size of 75. Yeah, you guys aren't, but we are. We're very close to their size. We're very close to the size of this kingdom for sure. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and restart my game and just see if we can get the spectator mode to start. I don't think. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna very quickly throw the stream is starting visual back on the screen, like real quick, just because I don't know what's on my desktop right now. So just stick with me for like 20 seconds here while I restart my game. Yeah, kind of good timing here that we were talking about the game being a little bit unresponsive, and wouldn't you know it, but right away we're having some bugs here. Thank you everybody who threw a like on the stream. Let's get those likes up a little bit higher. Let's get the likes up to 12. Let's double where we're at now. And then I will A, open armaments, and B, I will give you a very good bet for Osiris League this weekend. I looked at the odds, and the odds on one of the games is like really good. If you somehow still need to buy out the shop, which I hope you don't. I hope everybody has bought out the shop at this point. Okay, so let's go back to the 2975 KvK. And let's just see if the spectator tools work. Oh, we lost Imperium. Did anybody else notice this? We lost Imperium. We were Imperium the other day when we did our, we brought everybody in. But now we're back out of Imperium. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Right, there we go. We just needed a we just needed a refresh, and we do have the spectator mode working. Let me move to full screen again. Right, so that's good that we are out of Imperium. So if there are any skilled fighters out there with good kill points, good deads, maybe, just maybe, you play the game on a PC, maybe, just maybe, you're willing to jump on voice chat during war, maybe, just maybe, you have some farms. If there's anybody like that out there, hit me up. Hit me up in Discord, hit me up in the game. We are open for recruiting right now. We're in the off season, and we're open for recruiting. As we hover around the Imperium level, the game gets smaller. The Imperium ceiling, or the Imperium floor crashes. It absolutely crashes. The floor is crashing on Imperium Kingdoms. And so little old 770 is a borderline Imperium Kingdom now. And we're literally like the same power as 75, as 2975 here. We are literally almost the exact same power in our top 300. And our kill points are pretty similar, although theirs are a bit higher. It's kind of interesting to me that a kingdom like 2975 has more kill points than 770, considering 770 is a very old kingdom. We've been successful. You know, and we've been around for years and years. And so it's kind of interesting to me. Let me actually pull up the RoK board, and I'll show you guys. It's interesting to me that 2975 would have more KP than we do. I think some people would associate that with like, oh, they must be better than you guys are then, right? Like they've been in existence for less time, and yet they have more KP than you. That must mean that they're better than you are. I think there's some merit to that. My counterpoint was going to be that we have fought against tougher competition, and therefore it's hard for us to get a ton of KP. But I don't know if that's like exactly true, right? Like, because in any long KvK, you know, you get a lot of KP, right? Like, we fought against Sneaky's Kingdom and 1393. That was a very tough KvK. We lost in the open field, but that was also the KvK where I got the most KP of my life, because it was just such a long war. You know, it was an incredibly long war. And so, I don't know. I mean, maybe 2975 just has like better migrants than we have. Like I don't know what it means that they have more KP than us. I can tell you this, we would have never thought that we could win a 14 versus 1. And I don't think we would have ever allied 2 versus 4 in a KvK like this. Because it's just so likely that this is going to happen, right? Like, if you're completely reliant on wind to not get locked in, then at that point you put the fate of your KvK in the hands of this wind camp. And that's not a fun thing to do. For as much effort as Kingdoms put into getting ready for a KvK, for as much effort as you put into actually fighting in a KvK, you really don't want to put the fate of your entire outcome in the hands of somebody else. Although I guess inevitably you have to do that every single time. Sneaky says, have you looked at the 1093 petition? I did look at the... I looked at a very good post that 1093 had made on the Rise of Kingdoms Facebook group. I feel like I'm not going to be able to find it now, but I did read it, and it was very well written. I I do have a... I'm going to make a video next week about the domain system. And about... Okay, here's the post. Let me see if I can... How do I do this? How do I do this without showing my photo? I'm not going to be able to, but... Actually, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, but 1093 did make a very good post about the Imperium system. I did not see the petition, though. What was the petition about? They essentially showed the way that Imperiums have been dropping over time. Although you can actually see this on Fleisch's site as well. Let me see if I can find that. All this stuff shows my picture, man. All of these sites are Google sites, and they all show my freaking picture, bro. How do I do this? Oh, man. Does this work? Oh, there we go. Okay, I was actually more prepared than I thought. All right, so here's like Fleisch's site. Here's Fleisch's site, and this does show over here on the left. It shows the power history of kingdoms. Like it shows the power history of 1960 and 93. And 1365. I guess this doesn't show exactly the Imperium collapse, but it does show that like 1960s power since the start of February has gone like way down. Like look at how far they've gone from like 31 billion all the way down to 23 billion. So that's like a huge friggin' drop for 1960. And is essentially why they were able to get a campmate in the new domain system, is because they dropped the top 300 power of their kingdom so freaking much. You can see that 1093 has dropped a little bit, but not a ton. And then here's the Imperium ceiling at this point, which if I'm not wrong, it's like the top 24 or so. The top 32? I don't even know. But, you know, you can see that kingdoms now are hovering around like 20.5 billion, maybe 20 billion. Be an Imperium. I don't know why we're not on here. This hasn't been updated recently or something. Yeah, we're 57th. We're 19.4. Which is roughly accurate. But even at 19.4, we did jump into Imperium the other day. So... yeah. I think I just... what did I just do? Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Alright. Let me find a better battle spot here while I... Boy, this thing just really slowed down, huh? Like 2975, like, really, like... it's not just... they're showing nothing at this point. Right? Like, they're showing absolutely nothing in this zone. They have a bunch of cities here. They have a bunch of flags. But, I mean, like... I mean, they just, like, full gave up. They full gave up at this point. Which the zone only opened, like, maybe 12 hours ago? Let's see what this petition is. Let's see what this petition is. Thank you to everyone in the community who took part in these conversations. Here, let me try to bring this over a little bit. Drag it down. There we go. The following suggestions are a result of the feedback from many different kingdoms and are mostly generally agreed upon issues. As of 6/13, the developers have said that they plan to address a few of these, but it doesn't hurt to let them know how many people strongly agree with even further changes. If you are a big spender with access to higher levels of CS, we ask that you pass this petition along and add your support as well. Kingdom signed 138, players signed 290. So, not a ton of players. The Kingdom signed is interesting, but, you know. I do know that 1093 has access to a lot of, like, leaders of kingdoms. Like, they're in a big Discord with, like, that's only for kings of kingdoms. So I would imagine this is fairly accurate, that 138 kingdoms have signed this. Autarch changes. The current system discourages cooperation between camps, leading to betrayals and other gameplay that is very demotivating and not fun. Adjust the So here's the proposal, right? Adjust the distribution ratio of inscriptions to a maximum of 60-40. So this I agree with. We talked about this on one of my live streams recently. Yeah, you should be able to like distribute the autarchs however you want. It should not be that the winning camp gets 240 autarchs and then there's only 60 autarchs to distribute to the other camps. That's just, yeah, that one's a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer, good change. But let's look at the rest of these. Individual inscription acquisition through achievements. Allow individuals to earn inscriptions through achievement milestones. This would motivate members of the losing factions to participate in wars. I don't think I agree with this one. Gallo, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I don't think I agree with this second point here. That you can, the ability to earn the high-end inscriptions through individual achievements. I mean, we already have people kill farming and dueling to reach the 30 million kill point threshold, or the 30 million kills threshold to get us a conquest coin. I don't know. I like the autarch system in general. I like that there's like a really good reward for winning KvK. Like I like that KvK is like a really big deal and that it's like super important to win. So I don't know that I agree with this second idea. I don't think I agree with allowing individual achievement of inscriptions. But apparently this is going to get added anyway. The dev response is that some form of this will be added in a patch in August. So, all right. So I guess that'll happen. And then replace Ziggurat occupation rewards. Replace Ziggurat occupation rewards with more transmutation stones or transmutation crystals and other rewards. This would shift the focus of wars to diverse rewards rather than just the Ziggurat. So, I mean, this seems like a little bit contrary to the first proposal here. I feel like if you simply make the autarchs distributable to a wider number of people, then it's fine that all the rewards are locked up in the Ziggurat, right? Oh, so there's like a ton of stuff. I guess I'm not going to read through all of this on the stream, but... So the second proposal is to increase the catch-up mechanics for younger kingdoms. They're saying increase rewards for KvK and increase the off-season time between KvK 3 and KvK 4. They could certainly do that. They could certainly increase the off-season time. I know that the new kingdom that I was in recently, they did jump into SOC like right away. Like we finished KvK 3 and they were straight off into KvK 4. What I would actually do is I would want KvK 5 to still be locked. Like have KvK 5 be still where you only fight against younger kingdoms, and just make that whole transition into Season of Conquest a little bit longer. Give people essentially 5 wars before they're fully into Season of Conquest and can fight against anybody, right? Create a new feature, sleep or vacation mode. Add a feature to allow players that need to take a break from the game to put their account to sleep. So this is going to be something I talk about in my video. I feel like the domain system kind of fixes this. At least for the kingdoms who can reach domain mode. So, I mean, I think the idea behind this is quite good. I think it's very unfortunate that players basically have to, like, either keep playing the game every single day and participating in KvK, or else they literally have to quit and, like, get zeroed by their camp, by their old friends, sell their account, or else go into, like, purgatory where they literally cannot log in and cannot, like, just log in for 10 minutes a day and get gold heads and stuff like that. So I think this is a good idea. I think number 3 is a good idea, but I do think domain mode sort of fixes this. Allow all kingdoms to choose their battle roster for domains. Yeah, so this gets to exactly what I just said, right? Is that only some kingdoms have the domain mode option. And so, yes, I think this is correct. I think number 4 is very good. Allow all kingdoms to choose their battle roster for domains, right? Because domain mode literally fixes number 3. In my opinion, domain mode fixes number 3, where players can be casual, and then they can just, like, not get selected for the KvK. They cannot be selected for the number 1 domain. Now, I understand why 1093 is calling this wants to have vacation mode, because they're Imperium, and they don't want those players to count for the Imperium MMR either, right? But, like, if domain mode fixes this, I feel like we can get away with not having sleep mode, which, if anything, is a bit OP. Like, going to sleep and getting, like, 75% of your materials in RSS, getting all your gold heads, and automatically training troops? Like, that's a little OP. That's a little OP for vacation mode. Solutions to help solve population being spread thin. So the rest of these seem a little bit more macro, and maybe I'll read these later. I don't want to just, like, make the whole stream about reading this petition. I think these are, you know, getting at a lot of the issues. And I am going to make a video next week about sort of the health of the game, how, you know, the Imperium system factors into things, how the domain system factors into things. Because I do think that this is, like, these are the issues that Rise of Kingdoms has right now, is really around, like, matchmaking, around the fact that, like, it's really hard for people to play this game in a relaxed way. Like, if you're in a hardcore kingdom, you literally cannot, like, decide to take 3 months off and, like, play for 10 minutes a day. Like, it's impossible to do that. And I think that's, like, a real issue that's unfortunately been, like, a problem. Like, it's been around for a while, and so it has caused a lot of people to unfortunately quit the game when all they really wanted to do was take a break. There are some, like, really familiar names here. Why are these names familiar to me? Fake News. This can't be Fake News' original account, but Fake News is a player who used to be, like, I don't know, active in, like, my YouTube channel or something. And then Tic Tac. Where have I seen the name Tic Tac recently? Listen, Knight says KvK 3 to KvK 4 period is way too short. But Sneaky says, yeah, but KvK 3 is pretty much a farming KvK. Yeah, KvK 3 is a farming KvK, so, like, I mean, I think the suggestions they're giving for catch-up mechanics are fine, but doesn't do a whole lot. I think that what has to happen is that... Why can't I see this anymore? Okay, there we go. I think what has to happen is we just need to make... We need to continue to make the early Kingdom experience better and better. because that's where a lot of the lifeblood of this game is coming from. Like, a lot of the hype in this game is actually coming from the younger kingdoms. We're seeing like a lot of content creators who are in these younger kingdoms get good views on their content. We're seeing good activity in some of these younger KvKs. And, you know, we have to like replenish the Season of Conquest population with these younger kingdoms. And I think in order to do that, we have to make the early game experience like really fun. Which it is fun. The early game experience is very fun. And actually, let me go ahead and let me just go ahead and jump into my new farm account, because I actually did start a new account in a brand new kingdom. You know, I like to start new accounts every once in a while to just add to my farms. I've just like slowly built these farms up over time. Like I just migrated recycled Kuh into 770. Recycled Kuh was in Kingdom 3271. And I just sort of started it when the kingdom started, because I just sort of enjoy... I enjoy like being part of a new kingdom. There's like so much excitement. All these new groups are forming up. There's like there's potentially some fighting. You know, you're battling for territory and stuff like that. So I just kind of like get a kick out of starting new accounts. And then I just, you know, turn those accounts into farms later on down the road. So I did start a brand new account, or a brand new city, a few days ago. I started it in Kingdom 3540 because I was literally just reading in Discord that 3540 was going to have about 2,000 people in this new kingdom, and that like multiple jumper groups or multiple organized groups were going to be entering 3540. And as you can see, this does seem like a pretty big... It actually does seem pretty big, right? You've got this like DB group, but then you've got this DS40, DR40 group as well. You've got like DR and you've got DB, which I think are both like separate groups. And then you've got this S group as well, like SG50, you know. So like, I think there actually were like 2 or 3 different groups that jumped into this kingdom. And so I just decided to start a new farm and, you know, give it a shot, basically. Because like I said, work's been pretty slow lately. I haven't had a lot to do, so I was like, all right, let's start a new farm. Gallo RoKs of the world says, got to not punish people for being casual. Yeah, I think that's a really big deal. I think, you know, there has not been a game like this before. And so it has taken the developers a bit of time to figure out what some of the issues are. I also think the Chinese, they basically do stuff on the Chinese server first. But then the Chinese server is like way different than our server, right? The Chinese server still has like very big Imperium kingdoms. And the Chinese server just doesn't seem to have as many like dead kingdoms, and it doesn't have as many groups fall apart as the international server does. But I think at this point there's some low-hanging fruit that's like obvious fixes that could make things better. And I think unfortunately that there's no way to get the old players back. Right? Like the old players are gone. The players who have suffered the consequences of some of these issues, they're just sort of gone. And what Gallo says is really like, for me, that's like a very obvious one, right? It's like, if you want to like take a break for 6 months from this game, there should be a way for you to take a break, stay in your current kingdom, you know, and not have your account fall behind, but also not have to get zeroed by your friends because they can't have your, you know, they can't have your power like affecting their matchmaking, right? Now, because the issue is like, if you log in for 10 minutes a day, like if you log into the game for 10 minutes a day, you do make substantial progress. You collect your gold heads, you collect your materials, you collect your armaments, and you can train a new set of troops, right? So that's like a very, very good, that's a very good use of 10 minutes per day. And there simply needs to be a way for people to log in for 10 minutes a day, but then not do anything else, like not playing KvK. Maybe they can play an Ark of Osiris. Maybe they can do events. I mean, there's some things we can debate on this, and ultimately, like, the developers will just like either listen to like what randos like me say or not. They probably won't listen to anything I say. So I'm literally just spitting in the wind here. But like, there are details that we can figure out, but I think we're all agreed on like the general thing is that people should be able to take a break, but then still, but then come back at a certain point, right? Car, welcome to the stream. Natsu, thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sneaky says, something very controversial but might be good for young kingdoms would be to merge young kingdoms that just enter SOC and old KDs. That way new players have a chance to fight and relatively good conditions. Yeah, I think that there should be an option to merge kingdoms. Like, I mean, you would have to pay for it though. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, Lilith makes a lot of money from people buying passports, right? But I think the option, giving players the option to merge, giving kingdom leaders the option to merge, I think that would be good. I actually think that would be good, and I think in the long run it would actually make Lilith more money, because what we really need in this game right now, like the thing that we really need, is we just need more, you know, living, vibrant, competitive, fun kingdoms. Like kingdoms where stuff is really freaking happening. Like people are active in the chat, people are doing Barb forts. You can find an Ark of Osiris match for whatever, you know, time slot you want to play in. You know, there's like a Discord server. New players are getting recruited in. You're like having to arrange the MGEs because a lot of people want the MGEs. Like, just, we all know what it means to have a kingdom that's actually alive. Like a kingdom where stuff is actually happening, where you're competitive, where you try hard in KvKs, stuff like that, right? And we just need more of those kingdoms in the game. Because, you know, ultimately that's what keeps people playing. And ultimately that's the kind of kingdom that people want to migrate to. Now, I will be honest and say that I think there are more alive kingdoms out there than people realize. And I quite frankly think that a lot of people are like pretty bad at like seeking out kingdoms that are alive. You know, like over the last 3 or 4 years when I've been a leader of this sort of alive kingdom in 770, you know, quite frankly, we don't get all that many recruits. We don't get all that many people inquiring about our kingdom. Inevitably, the big name Imperiums tend to get pretty much all of the quality recruits. And then inevitably, most of those big name Imperiums also then fall apart. So like, I think some of this is definitely community, has been brought on by the community. I think our community in general has just been kind of mid in like our ability to build good kingdoms, select good kingdoms to migrate to, and then keep those good kingdoms alive. I think we're like surprisingly mid at doing that stuff. And I don't really know why people are kind of dumb about where they migrate to. But I think mergers would be good. I think mergers would definitely be good. And just doing everything we possibly can to keep the strong kingdoms in this game alive. And then just increasing the number of strong kingdoms, right? Luke says, or mergers might create a bloodbath. Well, I think you have to give people the option. I think both kingdoms have to agree to the merger, right? Because let's be real, some people actually like the dead kingdoms. People like being in dead kingdoms. They get to like control MGE. It's super casual. There's no pressure on them. Like some people absolutely 100% like being in dead kingdoms. And like they can just play with their small little group, right? Their tiny little group. Some people enjoy that. And they should have the option to do that, right? They took over the kingdom, they run the kingdom. They should have the option to do that. But if you are literally like a kingdom that's trying to get bigger, you're a kingdom that's trying to be more serious, then a merger should be possible, because quite frankly, it's very hard to recruit. It's very, very hard to recruit. Like if you're a kingdom, like let's take our old campmates. Let's take our campmates from last KvK, which Popo. This is Popo's old kingdom. Let's just take LOC for example, right? So they're like an A-ish kingdom, I think. I think they're like an A-ish kingdom. Here, let me take this black blocker off at this point. And these guys, you know, were pretty good. Like they had leadership that was knowledgeable and dedicated, and you know, like they knew how to play the game and stuff like that. And they had some like pretty good whales too, right? Like King Alpha is a good whale. Or King Alpha is one of the leaders, sorry. I was thinking of King Bunny. But Master Fong is like a very, very new account that has like a lot of KP, a lot of deads, and like a very strong account. You know, Mad Max, they had this whale Mad Max as well, who was over 100 million power. I mean, they had some very good players here in 2836, but like they have no stars. They have 0 stars. This kingdom has 0 stars. Like this is like a real kingdom, right? This is a kingdom that is alive. They have dedicated players. They show up for KvK. Like this kingdom is freaking alive, right? Like look, they've killed their guardians. They've killed their guardians at the Lost Temple an hour and a half after, or an hour after they spawned. So therefore this kingdom is alive, right? Let's look how many people they have in their Alliance resource pit. All right, they got 41 people in their Alliance resource pit. It's fairly new. It's a fairly early resource pit. We got paper cuts coming in to make it 42. This kingdom is alive, and I've spoken to their leaders about this, and you could just anticipate this even if I hadn't spoken to the leaders about this. They have trouble recruiting. It is hard for this kingdom to recruit. Because, like, I mean, there's just not that many people who want to take, like, a leap of faith that the group here is actually good, that the group here is actually motivated and knowledgeable. Even though they have zero stars. It's just, like, very, very hard for a player to just decide to migrate to a kingdom like this. Like, a skilled, active player who's, like, committed enough to, like, collect, you know, 25 passports. It's very hard to get anyone to migrate to a kingdom like this. Even though they have all the tools in place to be a good kingdom. Like, they have leadership, they're active, they fight in KvK. Like, there's nothing more you could ask for out of, like, a semi-serious, semi-casual kingdom, right? So I think there would be plenty of people who would be happy to migrate there, but it's just very hard to do. And so that's why you see so few strong kingdoms in the game. And that's why I think something like a merger would be absolutely fine to do. Oh, Popo says they went to 2459. Oh, is that true? I did not realize that. Where is that where Hale went? Did Hale go to 2459? $24.59. Why have I heard of this kingdom? Cactus. Oh, I don't think I've heard of this. So yeah, even as I was saying that 2836 was like alive, Popo's saying that people left. So yeah, I mean it's tough, and they just won. They literally just beat 2268 in the KvK, right? Like, what more can you ask for out of like a 0-star kingdom than to beat one of the biggest Imperiums in the game? Well, this kingdom seems sleepier. This 2459 seems sleepier because they have not killed their guardians yet. So, I don't know. But yeah, 3 stars here. 3 stars in 2459. They just won stratagems. Like, super recently. Super duper recently. Oh yeah, so look, yeah, here's Hale. Hale was, in my opinion, the best player / leader in 2836. And it looks like Hale migrated out. Yeah, pretty wild. Pretty wild. Oh, Jin migrated out as well. Yeah, Jin was another good player in 2836. So, I mean, yeah, and here's King Bunny as well. Yep. Wow, that's crazy. These guys should have come to 770, Popo. We could have... And Chim's here too? Oh my gosh. We dropped the ball here. As recruiters, we dropped the ball in this group. I mean, I did ask Hale to... I did say to Hale that we would love to have him in 770. I know I didn't reach out specifically to anybody else, but I think somebody reached out to Chim. I think someone reached out to Chim to migrate here. Oh, there's Popo's account as well. Yep. Popo says 770 is my last faith in this game. See, I don't know. I have a different point of view right now. I'm not really feeling like this game is dead. You know, I'm kind of feeling like enthusiastic about the game at the moment. You know, I mean, certainly we have lost some very big kingdoms in this game, but I feel like that has already happened. Like that bloodbath has already happened. You know, 1254 died, 1307 died, 1860 died. In the Korean world, 1034 and 1534 died. Like that has already freaking happened. You know, that's over. Oh, by the way, like low-key, the best way to do barbs at the very beginning of the game is like find a buddy who's doing barbs and then like join in. But I don't think I'm going to get to this one in time. Maybe I will. I'll go for it. Did I get it? I did. Yeah, so my last faith, I honestly am feeling kind of bullish about the game at the moment. I think the graphics upgrade is going to be like a really big deal. I think the domain system is like a good thing. And like there's still like a lot of buzz and excitement with in the early game. Like there's a ton of people in this new kingdom. 3540. There's a ton of people in this thing. And it's popping off. It's definitely popping off. I'll give you sort of my story of this kingdom so far. I think I started right over here. I started over here, and I was just looking for an alliance, you know, because you need an alliance to for the helps and stuff like that. And almost every alliance was on application needed. Like it's very hard to get into an alliance in this kingdom because everything is on application needed. But anyway, I think something was on either anyone can join or like I applied and they accepted me. Anyway, this alliance over here accepted me, which this is like a Vietnamese alliance, right? So I migrated over here. I migrated right here. This was my teleport spot right here. And I was like playing with these dudes. Like it was fun, you know. We were doing junior Lohar rallies. We were saving up credits to build this fort. And it was cool, you know, like we were just like doing Lohar rallies and stuff. They were talking in Vietnamese. I chatted to them a little bit with the translator and stuff. And so like I was doing stuff to like I was like helping the alliance, right? And then, you know, then we built this fort, you know, and it takes a while to build a fort at the beginning of the game because nobody has a full march, right? So I put all my troops into this fort. I built the fort. You know, you can see on some of these, like, the build time is very long. Very, very long build time on some of these forts. And then, you know, we started building flags. I put my marches in the flags. I was, like, literally helping, right? And, like, the leader of the alliance is, like, paying attention to this stuff. And he's seeing me, like, join these flags. And he's seeing me join these forts. He's seeing me join the junior Lohar rallies, right? But they kicked me anyway. They kicked me anyway because my power was too low. Like they had these like power requirements, right? They had these like power requirements, and this leader was just going entirely by power. Like the requirement was like 100K, and I was like at 80K because I'm not playing this account all the time. What do I care about this account? So this dude booted me, even though I was like helping. I was like active in chat, active in rallies, active in building, right? But this dude's just looking at power. All he's doing is looking at power. And so I got the boot. And then I went over to... Then I went over to an alliance over here, I think. Where was it? Oh, it was like over here or something. Oh, no, maybe was it here? Yeah, it was here. I joined some alliance that was over here. But what basically, I joined this alliance because it was on anyone can join. And it like immediately, like they were fighting. They were like immediately at war with this other group. Let me, I'll show you guys the footage of it. Because I did capture a bit of it last night. I think it's this video. Nope, that's not it. Was it this one? Well, this is like the footage of like the war that I was observing last night. Like these like super low scale wars, right? Like insanely low scale wars. And basically, this was the key moment, right? I'm in this guy's alliance. I'm in Trao Bio's alliance. And Trao Bio had burnt this flag that was connecting to our fort. And it sort of looked like this flag might get actually taken down, right? Because the flags burn super fast. Like, they only have 2,000 durability, but then they also burn super, super fast. So a flag will burn down in like 20 minutes or so. Maybe like 25 minutes. So I'm like wondering, are these guys going to extinguish this flag, or is it actually going to get disconnected? But this group here, 40TJ, they were on the ball, right? So first they're rallying a city. First they're rallying my ally's city here with this guy Twitch Farm, up and coming player Twitch Farm, with the Sun Tzu Lohar march. Luke says early game is almost all about power, sadly. Yeah, it's not like a balanced game, but like it's kind of fun, man. It's kind of fun. Cause like, you know, if you're active, you can do stuff, right? Like if you're active, you can do stuff. You can burn flags, all that. Like if you're active, you can get in this dude's rally. You can get in this dude's city rally that absolutely melted IMBO here. Like absolutely melted IMBO. But then what they do, and then they extinguished, right? Like as they were burning this dude's city, as they were zeroing this dude, they extinguished their flag. You know what I mean? And they had rains coming in from all over. They were filling it up too. They were filling it up real good. So I mean, and basically that was like the moment that this was over. The war ended. I captured the moment this war ended, right? Because this alliance that I was in, A35, they basically deleted their fort. The fort was burning, they deleted their fort. They moved the fort somewhere else. They ended up moving the fort like up here. But I feel like even that fort is gone. Like they started a new fort, but that fort got destroyed as well. So I don't know, it's pretty fun, man. I enjoy the early game. I never played enough to actually like get engaged with everything that's happening. But honestly, I wanted to stay in this Vietnamese alliance here because I feel like they have like a pretty big fight on their hands, right? Because there's this big alliance here, D40G, right? Like pretty big alliance. 37 million power, led by Jenny. Right? So, and Jenny's like pretty high up there, 1.8 million power. So Jenny's not messing around here. And you know, the Vietnamese group that I was in, they have markers like about taking this sanctum here, or taking this altar. They're like all about getting this altar here. You can see that they're even flagging up towards this. Like they're flagging up towards this sanctum over here. And it looks like maybe they're at peace here with IW40. I don't know. I'm surprised that there's not war here between these two groups, but it seems to me that D40G is just like on their way. Like they're headed right to this altar, right? But I know that this Vietnamese group wants the altar. Rblade, welcome to the stream. Luke says early game can be very cutthroat. Let's not get started on jumper drama too. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, bro. It's like the early game is crazy, and there's like a lot of groups out there. Like still to this day, you know, 5.5 years into Rise of Kingdoms being out, there are still a lot of groups that just want to like start a new kingdom, get real organized, like. And like let's not kid ourselves. There's like a lot to do. Like when you start a brand new kingdom and you start a brand new alliance in a new kingdom and you try to like take over the map and stuff, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of flags to build. There's a lot of personnel to manage. You have to grow your own account. You have to do Diplo with the other groups. I mean, it's like it's a really long adventure, right? Like the whole early game of like forming a group with people and like doing all that stuff, it's like a real adventure. And like these wars that in the end, these little fights are going to be completely inconsequential. But when you're part of it, when you're doing these things, like you remember it. I can still remember my buddy Jay standing basically in the same place that Wahoo was standing, burning down the fort of our neighbor at the very beginning of the game. And then for the next 6 months, Jay would say that he single-handedly destroyed an alliance. Because he set their fort on fire, and he sat next to the fort until it burned down, and they never once extinguished it. And like I still remember that. I still remember watching Jay standing there. You know, it was like a French group. We like took it. We took down a French group that was settled right next to us. Algebra says I can't imagine trying to get to T5 again. Yeah, you've got to grind like all that stuff, man. You've got to grind like. You've got to make decisions about what do you push? Do you rush T5 or do you use some of your universal speedups to heal during the first KvK? Do you use some of your universal speedups to help you win that first or second KvK? Because you know that on some level, if you win the first couple KvKs, then your players might stay, you might get new recruits in, and you might have a kingdom that actually can last and have success in Season of Conquest. Whereas if you lose all those KvKs, then your kingdom's probably going to die, and you know, then maybe you count your project as a failure, or maybe you're fine with that. Maybe you're fine with being like the long-term leader of a D kingdom in Season of Conquest. You know, I mean, if your group is fun, why not, right? So there is like a lot of cool stuff that can happen. Oh, let me, oh, this guy's doing a Lohars, and I didn't even notice. Am I going to be able to join this thing in time? Here, let me see if I can get a couple Lohars going here on this new account. Let's just like do like a proximity check or an activity check on this, alliance I'm in. Because I teleported too far away. I should have teleported to the fort. You know what I mean? I should have teleported to the fort, so that I could do all my junior Lohars. But this dude here is doing them, so let's see. Luke says, I have done like 10 jumpers, a few R4. The hardest part was staying up to 5 a.m. to jump. Yeah, Luke, I mean, I get it, man. I honestly, like, get people who just keep doing the early game over and over again. Because it's just, like, very, very involved. There's, like, a lot going on. And in some ways, it's like actually more exciting than the end game. I think the part of it that makes it less exciting is, like somebody said earlier, it's all about power, right? Like it's all about power. It's all about who spends the most. And like if you spend a lot, you can just like dominate everyone. If I'm not mistaken, you can literally swarm cities that are on Alliance territory in the home kingdom. I don't know if I'm right about that, but I think that's the case, that you can literally just swarm like any city, which means that a whale can just like swarm an entire enemy alliance, destroy everyone, and you know, just control the server that way. Sneaky says, I would never do a jumper ever again. It's way too time consuming, and especially if you are in leadership. Yeah, it's just way too much of a commitment. Way too much of a commitment. That I would never want to do it again either, right? And but for people who are new to the game, this is very enjoyable. Like for people who are brand new to the game, when you get thrown into this whole environment of a new kingdom, it's like a whole new type of game that you've never played before. You're working with like a big group. There's great camaraderie. You know, there's actual war. You can like take over territory. You can lose territory. Your influence can grow. Your influence can decrease. It's very, very exciting. I mean, the beginning of this game, it's still to this day some of the most fun I've ever had in the game. And so, you know, I get why people are still involved in it and stuff, right? I totally get that. And as long as the early game remains fun, then we're going to keep having new players to the game. And the game is still going to stay alive, right? It's still going to stay alive. Luke says, yeah, game needs fresh blood. I agree with you on improving the early game too. And look, I don't know how much improving the early game needs. I think what we just talked about is kind of a big one, right? Like you shouldn't be able to attack everybody. Why should you be allowed to attack a city that's on Alliance territory in the home kingdom? Like why do we allow that? Like why is that part of the game? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be like a great way to improve the early game? Is make it so that if you're on Alliance territory, your city cannot be swarmed? Because I think part of what that does is that it actually creates more fighting, right? Because in these organized groups that join new kingdoms, they basically know that you cannot go to war in your home kingdom. You have to have a peaceful home kingdom. Because if you go to war, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Tons of casual players will get swarmed and quit. And so you rarely see big wars in home kingdoms. Or in start kingdoms, in early kingdoms. It's usually just peace until the first KvK. But the truth is, what's insanely fun about the early game, what's insanely fun about the early game, was when we didn't realize you could swarm everyone's cities, and we actually just like fought. We fought for territory. Like we fought around these like level 2 passes and stuff. Like I still remember when the level 2 passes opened. In my original kingdom, I still remember when the level 2 passes opened. I was almost the person who did the rally lead to enter. Like it wasn't our alliance. We like joined this Russian alliance that was going to take the passes. I almost got to rally the pass, but this other guy did it instead, like Nuki or something, or Nuku, some guy that we were playing with. But then, like, you know, the big alliances got to go through the level 2 passes, right? It's not like everyone got to make it through the level 2 passes. It was only the big alliances who got through the level 2 passes. And then, you know, the Russian group that we were a part of, they settled one of these zone 2s. But then the Chinese group that ended up dominating the server, they sort of like, that's where the big fights happened, right? Like I would just spectate the fights in zone 2. Like I was not in one of the alliances that fought in zone 2, but I would spectate the fights here. And it was like a really big deal. It was like, holy shit, they're fighting over a shrine. Like if they win this zone, they actually get shrines. Those things are freaking insane, you know? So like the fighting in the early game is actually like really good and really interesting. But nobody fights anymore because it's too easy to like swarm all of your enemy cities. All right, so I'm just gonna let that rally go, and if somebody fills it up, then that's cool. If not, whatever, I don't care. But yeah, let's see, how are we doing on the likes? Did we get to 12 likes yet? Still at 9 likes, 16 people watching. Somebody do me a favor, throw a like on this video, and that will give me enough to open armaments and also give you guys a really good bet for Osiris League this week. There we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. All right, so let's go back to the main account and let's open up these armaments. I will be honest, time flies when I'm doing this live stream. Like I can't believe that I've been live streaming for 80 minutes already. I feel like I've not actually done anything. Sneaky says, look at 3217 that is about to register and will potentially get matched up with 1862, 1606, and 1365. How should that fresh blood enjoy that real first KvK fight? Too many quit before actually getting into SOC. Yeah, I am familiar with 3217. Actually, let's do the, since you mentioned 3217, let's go ahead and do the Osiris League bet first. Just to let you all know, I will be casting the GT versus 489 match with Chisgul on Sunday. That's going to be at 15 UTC on Sunday. So everybody be sure to tune in for this match. It should be absolutely great match. I think these odds are pretty good, actually. So I'm probably not going to bet on this match. And I do think the 49 is like a slight favorite, but I think this one could go either way. I think the bet of the week is actually on 3217. Or no, this is 3212. I'm sorry. I have that slightly wrong. Okay, so I casted 17C. I casted 3217 a few weeks ago in Realm of Bastet. They lost to 27 WP, but they played pretty well. But I do think in the Realm of Sobek here that a bet on F12 is pretty good. As you can see last week, WP only won by 3,500 points, which is just one arc. I mean, that's a very, very close match right here. So I think that, you know, when F12 is like a huge, huge underdog here, I do think a bet on F12 is quite good. So I'm going to go ahead and bet a lot because I bought out the shop already, so I might as well just bet a lot on this match. And now let's open up the armaments. I like to do this every week because this is like a pretty big deal for me, what armaments I get. And there's no really need for me to save because what I'm doing right now is I am opening Arch Formation with the hope of getting to the pity roll. I need to open up 85 more armaments without getting a rare or special inscription. And if I do that, then I will be guaranteed to get a rare or special inscription. And at that point, I will then go to my dispatch, and I will do this dispatch quest right here, the Arch Formation Horn, and then I will be guaranteed to get a rare or special inscription in the Horn slot, which is something that I really need. So let's go ahead and open these armaments. Hopefully we get something good. And hopefully we get lots of legendary armaments so that we just progress towards not only the pity roll, we're trying to progress towards not only the pity roll, we're also trying to progress towards our next inscription shard, which we'll get when we recycle 45 more legendary armaments. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because I know it's more exciting for me than it is for you all. Nothing in these. I don't think I really even need to click on these. We'll just do a bulk recycle and move on to the next. Show me an orange. No oranges here. 2 purples with inscriptions. Alright, so this one's actually pretty good. This is a pretty good Barb damage armament here. It has the Cleanser inscription and it has damage to Barbs on the roll. Oh yeah, you can't lock these anymore, so that's annoying. Oh, I forgot that you can't lock. I forgot that this thing is so bugged right now. So... Alright, I'm just going to recycle stuff here because yeah. All right, we'll keep it going. Onto the purples. Now we start to get something good, right? Not really. Not really. A Nexer is 5% damage to barbarians. Oh, wow, this is a pretty good one, too. Payback. A lot of barb damage. A lot of barb damage on these armaments so far. And then, no, really nothing on this horn here. I'm going to save a couple of these. I'm going to save a couple of these, actually. And just put it on some of my barb marches. Keep it going. 10 more opened. 0 legendaries. That is brutal. That is brutal. All right, that is like quite brutal. You have 0 legendaries on this one. Egregious. Egregiously bad luck so far on these. More barb damage. Yet more barb damage. 8.4% barb damage on this one. So we'll go ahead and save that as well. The last 4 purples now. We still have not seen anything remotely good. And we see a legendary. We do see a legendary. Yeah, Greg, we're gonna be pretty picky here. We're gonna be pretty picky. Brisk. I forgot how bad Brisk is. March Field of Wielders siege units by 5%. Insane. And here's a bunch of siege stats on this one. So we're just gonna bulk recycle these. And we're on to the legendaries. Alright, let's see what we can get. Let's see what we can get. We're definitely pretty picky at this point with the arch formation. There's not a lot we can upgrade, but I'm always open. I'm always open to the possibilities. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Not a single inscription. Not one single inscription out of these 10 pulls. This is horrendous. This is a very bad session right here. This is a very bad session. Oh my gosh. The all damage roll here is pretty good. I think I'm going to save this one just because the all damage roll is quite good. I don't need more cab defense ones. When is the pity? It was 85 before we started algebra. It was 85 before we started. So we'll take a look at where we're at after this. It's going down very fast. The pity counter is going down very, very fast. I think I'll lock this. Do I lock this? I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to. What I'm really looking for is good cav rolls on the horn slot, because then I can save that for the actual inscription that I get. Oh wait, that doesn't make sense. Never mind. What was I saving? Was I saving this? I don't know that I need to save any of these. I could maybe save this. I'll save that one. Alright, so here's our last 6. Let's give me one inscription. Give me something to get excited about here. Final 6 pulls of the week. Give me an inscription. Let's see it. Oh my gosh, jeez. I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing in all these. I got absolutely nothing. This is all just recycling. Well, okay. That's a pretty good shield slot right there. That's a pretty good shield slot there. Triple cav roll and some pretty good rolls. I mean, it's hard to get an inscription for this slot, but like that's a pretty, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. That's pretty good. I'm gonna save this one. I'm gonna make sure to lock this. Did I check the rest of these? I don't know. I don't know if I checked all these. Oh, I mean, this one's all right. I mean, not too good, but I guess I would maybe save this. I don't know when you would ever want arch formation on archers, but I'll save this one for now. Why not? Who cares? All right, so we actually got something out of all those. It may never turn into anything, but that's a pretty nice triple roll right there. Now let's take a look at the pity counter. Let's see how far down the pity counter we got with just that. With just 1 week of opening armaments. Yeah, we're all the way down to 67. So we went from 85 to 67 in just 1 week. So that's all right. Arch is good. BS swarms on archers versus swarms on archers. Like an open field, but like an open field, like would you? I don't think I would ever want arch formation on like a Zug Herman. You know, Zug Herman is one of the few marches that I've actually switched to wedge. Car says arch formation on archers is great when you're rallying. Yeah, when you're rallying, I can see it being good. Although even with rallies though, right? Like Zug, you know, a lot of what makes Zug anti-swarm is that his AoE hits all the swarmers or hits a bunch of the swarmers. And so if you have wedge formation, then you're doing more damage to the swarmers through Zug's AoE. So, you know, I'm surprised that you all are saying that some people actually use arch formation on like Asher Zug rallies. That's pretty surprising to me. I would have thought that they would use wedge. But let's take a look at that let's take a look at that what we have in the shield slot now. Yeah, so right now in the shield slot, what we have is we have this forceful inscription, which is quite good. I'm very glad we got this forceful inscription. And then we have a pretty good roll here, like an okay roll. We've got like 5.75% of stats here. Whereas on this new thing we just pulled, what percent of stats do we have here? We've got 8.3% of stats versus 5.7% of stats. So you can see that this thing is probably never going to really get used. Like, I would essentially have to get an inscription from the Superior Shop. The only way I would ever use that is to get an inscription from the Superior Shop where I get an emblem inscription from here, and then I can you know, put it onto that armament. But like, I mean, there's just so few. There are so few emblem inscriptions that I could actually pull here. There's like 4 or 5 of them, basically. Sneaky says one of the 1900 main Archer rally used hollow squares. That is true. I did see that, Sneaky. Yeah, I did see that on Chisgle's stream. Yep, I did see that on Chisgle's stream. Let me go ahead and start up a Barb rally here. Our Barb rallies were absolutely churning for a few days after we got back from Lost Kingdom. We were just crushing the Barb 4 rallies. Everybody was doing Barb 4 rallies. We kind of got interrupted a little bit by KvK ceremonies. I think a lot of people are using their AP on KvK ceremony. But yeah, the activity in 770 has been very good coming out of KvK. You can just see the morale boost that we got from winning that war. People are very enthusiastic, and yeah, the Barb Fort rallies have absolutely been churning. Tech, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the congratulations. Let me be right back. I'm gonna grab a Celsius and get a little caffeine boost here. That sweet, sweet first sip of a carbonated Celsius. I love it. I love it. You know, I used to crack open a beer in the microphone on these live streams. But I'm trying to get the Celsius, the caffeine boost, to replace the beer. Because I do love the flavor. I do love the flavor of the Celsius. And you know, I've had a few nights over the past few weeks where I'm like, I could go down the street and buy some beer, but why don't I just like have another Celsius instead? And it actually worked. It actually worked. Yeah, that's funny that everybody saw the Hollow Square on that 1900 rally. I'll be honest, I think Hollow Square is quite good for like Hera. So like Anna, like one of our cab garrisons in 770, Anna, she uses Hollow Square. And oh, somebody tried to join Arc late. I don't think I can register them anymore. Right? Yeah, registration is closed. They were just a little too late. I should have seen their message, but I did not, unfortunately. So Anna does use Hollow Square. And you know, she did well. Like her Jan Hera performed at least as good as mine. Which I'm on Arch Formation. She's on Hollow Square. And, you know, as we see, like, more shielding commanders come out, where, like, potentially down the road, I could see Hera being paired with, like, another commander that puts up a shield, where then Hollow Square is boosting the shields of, like, both commanders. To where I think that Hollow Square can end up, you know, as much as, like, nowadays Arch Formation is considered, like, the best garrison formation, there's, like, a part of me that thinks that down the road it's going to actually be Hollow Square that is the best garrison formation. Let's take a look at what the Hollow Square special inscriptions do. Sneaky says 1900 was our campmates 2 KvKs ago. I couldn't have missed it. My God, Sneaky, can you guys get like more overpowered campmates? Like, okay, so like you had 1393 as a campmate to cover your downtime, and then in your very next KvK, you had 1900 as your campmate to cover your downtime. Like, oh my gosh, that's like ridiculous. That's actually ridiculous. I'm salty. I'm still salty about like how OP 2217's campmates have been. Algebra says shields don't really scale well. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So Algebra, let me ask you a question. What scales better, skill damage or normal attack damage? Or are they the same? Popo says, how about me having Vita plus FCK in my camp? Yeah, that's pretty sick too. Sneaky says 1900 was slightly less strong than they are now. They had an extremely good migration going into your last KvK. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Yeah, so like Inviolable is their troops take 10% less skill damage while it has a shield. So so like Inviolable, like this inscription, like think about how insane an inscription like this would be on a garrison duo where they both have a shield, where they both like generate a shield. Because as you may remember, Hera generates a shield on his active skill. Like it's on his active skill that he generates a shield. Imagine if like the other commander had like a passive that could proc a shield, and the passive was like a high percentage chance proc, which there are some high percentage chance procs in the game. There's like commanders who have a 30 to 40% chance to do certain procs, right? So you've got like non-stop shields going up, and then you've got this inviolable inscription where you get a 5% boost to every shield, and whenever a shield is up, you're taking 10% less skill damage. Now, I mean, look, is that better than... I mean, is that better than like Invincible giving you a 5% skill damage resistance all the time, right? Like it's 10% some of the time versus 5% all the time. I mean, okay, maybe it's not better than Invincible, but Invincible is like one of the best inscriptions in the game, you know? Do these all give a 5% boost? No, 2 of them do. Crowned. What does Crown do? 5% boost to shield, and if their troop has a shield, it deals 3% more damage. If their troop does not have a shield, it instead deals 2% more damage instead. Okay, I mean, that one's like not... That Crowned is not amazing. Crown's not amazing. And then Rounded increases the damage resistance by 5%. That's like a really good. I love damage resistance or damage reduction. I think damage resistance and damage reduction are fantastic on garrisons. Absolutely fantastic. Algebra says Gorgo and Hera both have shields. Yeah, see, I should know more about Gorgo, but I don't. Yeah, interesting that Gorgo has a shield. Where's her shield? Oh, it's right here. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, it's a okay. So Gorgo gets a brand new skill on her expertise, which is Luminary Lioness. And when she has less than 50% units remaining, which is like all the time in a garrison, it has a 10% chance to gain a damage absorbing shield for 3 seconds, damage factor 500. Yes, yeah, I guess that's the combo that I'm talking about. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I feel like a Gorgo Hera Hollow Square should do good, but I mean, it seems like most people are going Arch Formation instead. So maybe it comes down to what Algebra said, which is that Arch Formation and skill damage just scales better than shields do. And also worth noting that Algebra said that skill damage generally scales better than Arch Formation. Hobo, thanks for hanging out. Richard, welcome to the stream. Shout out to 1824. Hope we can be allies again in the future. Yeah, that would certainly be interesting. I think allying with 1824 would be interesting in the future. I think I'll be honest, Richard. I think we can go either way on that one. I think we would go either way. We would be fine fighting you again, and we would be fine allying with you again as well. But it was certainly a great KvK win, and you know, once I looked at the final statistics and the contribution and stuff, I felt better about you guys getting the star. You know, it's like we could have argued to have the star, but I mean, you guys definitely did like a lot more contribution than we did. So yeah, it was just a great win. We will always think very highly of 1824 and 1900 for being part of that absolutely tremendous win. Let me get another Barb Fort rally going here, and then I just want to show you guys kind of what I've been doing on some of my accounts recently. Irgandir, welcome to the stream. Jinbao, welcome to the stream. Hope y'all are doing well too. We are just chilling in the home kingdom. We are sitting here at a rather hefty 12.5 billion power. We're pretty hefty. I mean, this is a lot of power these days. This is definitely a lot of power these days. We did get some migrants in recently. Let me go ahead and go over the migration that we've had. You know, Sneaky was talking about how 1900 had a very good migration, and we sort of saw that migration manifest itself in our last war, where they were literally able to go toe-to-toe with 2268's open field during Korean uptime, which was like a very, very impressive thing to do. So let me go ahead and go over our migration. Who did we bring in? We didn't bring in a ton of people, but we brought in some quality. We had like a quality migration, basically. So Benz came back. Benz is an old school whale here in 1770. He went to 1034. He played in 1V for about maybe a year or so, maybe 10 months. But Benz came back. We're really happy to have Benz back. You know, when Benz swarms a lot during KvKs, when he like really focuses on swarming flags, he's like a super valuable contributor. Although it's worth noting that Benz is a little bit lean these days. Hopefully he has a lot of speed ups that he's going to use and get himself back over that 100 million power hump. So Benz came back, which was great. I'm not sure if Pink like this is Pink's account. I think I don't think this is Pink's main account. Maybe it is, but Pink may have come back as well. Pink's a former leader, one of the main Korean leaders back in the day, and he may be coming back to the game. The reason I'm getting confused is because our main whale like always changes his name. Oh, here he is. Okay, I actually missed him. So the big migration we got was Froppy. Froppy from 2263. He migrated in. He, Froppy changes his name quite a bit. Confuses the hell out of me, for sure. But Froppy's an absolute beast. Very, very good player. You know, a very social player, so he's on voice chat a lot. And therefore, you know, it's very easy to coordinate his rallies with everything else that we're doing. So this was like a very big score for us. It's a pretty new account. Like Froppy's account is pretty new. And I think he's been quiet for the last like 6 months or so. So, I mean, his kill points are not like amazing. But you can see that his deads are quite high. He's very active. And so this was like really good. It was very, very good that we got Froppy. That we got Froppy in the kingdom. So yeah, maybe so some pretty crazy infographics here on Froppy's profile. And then we also added a few other players. We added, Popo, who's in the chat earlier, he migrated here. We added Magnus. Magnus was just a dude who was in 2250. He's kind of like poked around to different kingdoms. Seems like he's kind of like a solo. He's like kind of like on his own, right? He's like a solo player. He migrates by himself. And I think players like that fit in very well in 770. Because like you can just make the most of it, right? Like you can be very social and get very like connected with us, or you can just sort of like do your own thing. And you know, you can have a good time like either way in 770. So I was really glad that we got Magnus. I think this is the type of recruit that we do very well with getting a player like this. And then we also got a Min-hee. Min-hee, who has hung out in my YouTube chat from time to time. Min-hee migrated in as well. You can see he's an active ARC player. He's playing ARC with us this week, and has had some very good performances in KvKs recently. That's a very good ratio here. 72 million killed to 48 million dead, or 48 million healed. So We definitely got some good migrants in. And HTT is saying, don't forget about me, coming back too. Yeah, HTT, what happened with your migration? All I know about HTT's migration is that he like said he can't count. And like all his farms were talking in all his farms were talking the other day in Kingdom Chat, right? Like, see, like HTT Nation's talking on his farms because like his main somehow did not get in. I guess is it because you guys are in KvK right now? I think maybe HTT's just in KvK and that's why he's not in. But yeah, kind of a small recruiting class, but like a quality recruiting class. So let's see what Algebra says here about scaling. With damage factors being around 2,000, one skill cycle does 4,000 damage. With 400 damage factor, with one normal plus counterattack, you need 10 turns for normal attack damage to be on par with skill damage. However, skill cycles are generally 7 turns nowadays with Horn, so skill damage is definitely better. Okay, I mean, I guess I don't understand why what you just said, Algebra, means that skill damage is scaling better than normal attack damage. To me, that's just sort of saying that, like, skill damage is better than normal attack damage. Like, when I read that, I hear you saying that, essentially, skill damage makes up more than 50% of the damage output. But I guess that doesn't necessarily mean it scales better. That just means it's just better. But maybe I'm just like not good enough at math to understand. The one thing I'll say about scaling, like this is why I'm sort of like pushing back a little bit, is because like when I look at Lu Chi, you know, Lu Chi is an example of a commander that scales very well with normal attack damage. And so why does Lu Chi scale well? It's because he has the chance to launch an extra attack, right? Like, he literally can launch an extra attack. And so, to me, these are the sort of mechanics that make normal attack damage scale very well. Now, I guess you could say the same thing about Joan, right? Like, Joan is someone who causes skill damage to scale better because Joan has the ability to proc her active skill more than once, right? In fact, she has a 100% chance to proc her active skill more than once. Eleanor also has a chance. Eleanor also has a chance to proc her skill more than once. And so to me, in my gorilla brain, scaling is about some of these mechanics. The mechanics on the commanders, where for a specific commander, Wedge or Arch may scale extremely, extremely well for them because they're literally casting their skills more often. Yeah, so here's the proc on Eleanor. If this commander is serving as a garrison commander, whenever their garrison is hit with a basic attack, it has a 10% chance to use the Lily of the Wild skill. So Eleanor is casting more skills. She's casting her Lily of the Wild skill more often. And so therefore, you're getting more value from wedge formation on a commander like this. Now that being said, I doubt anyone is going to use wedge formation on Eleanor for the most part, because arch formation is so much better for garrisons in general. Although to be fair, like if you had like a very good wedge set and you put it on an Eleanor Hera garrison that was in a pass that couldn't get swarmed, that might hit super freaking hard. So Algebra says if your normal damage is 33% of your total damage and skill damage is 66%, a 10% increase to normal damage is equivalent to a 5% increase in skill damage. Yeah. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. Yeah. But you're essentially just saying that skill damage scales better because in general skill damage does more. Yeah. So that's certainly interesting. And you know, I think we're in like I think that what is happening, and I'm really curious what other people think about this. But like, I think that what they've done with normal attack damage is actually quite interesting. You know, because the game plays a little bit differently with Lucci in the game. And in the artifact KvK that we just did, things played a little bit differently as a result of having all of that normal attack damage in there. Let me just go ahead and let me go ahead and throw up some footage of our last war. Just to try to drive this home a little bit, right? I don't even know when this fight was, but well, I guess we can just watch this. But anyway, you know, the thing about normal attack damage is that it allows you to like trade really well in a fight that lasts less than 5 seconds, right? Like if you can get into a fight and do some damage and then neither person gets their skills off and you're just like a Lucci March or a Attila March or a Charles Martel March and you have a ton of normal attack damage on that March, then you can do like really good trades. You can do really, really good trades against your opponents. And so it's like, you know, it obviously that's just cheeseburgering. All we're really talking about there is cheeseburgering. But, you know, it's also like hopping through tiles, right? Like you can hop through tiles, hit an enemy for like 5 seconds, and then hop back in the tile and run away. And then neither person is getting their skills off. And I just think that like, oh, this is like the opening of Kingsland, I think. I think this is like when Kingsland opened. Anyway, you know, that just really, that dynamic really played a part in our last war, where people like Matba with his Henry Charles, or people who had a Lucci, they were able to cheeseburger very effectively. And there's just something very like sturdy and consistent about arch formation. At the same time, we like one of the most effective rallies that 2268 had was Chadsky's Attila Lucci rally, which is just doing pure normal attack damage. It's just doing pure normal attack damage. And so it's very good against Swarm. It has outstanding anti-Swarm. It also has, and it also is like resistant to silence, right? Like a commander like Flavius does a silence, and future commanders will also do a silence. A Guan who's swarming the rally will do a silence. But when you're somebody like Lucci, and you just do like a bunch of like damage, you just get a bunch of you have a bunch of like resistance, you have a bunch of attack, you have a bunch of normal attack damage, and you just get like a chance to launch an extra attack. Like you're pretty resistant. You're resistant to Swarm, and you're resistant to silences. And I just think that adds a new element to the game. Like, you know, as Algebra said, in the state of the game right now, skill damage does about 2/3 of the damage, and normal attacks do about 1/3 of the damage. And I just think putting that more into balance, and they are like in the process of putting that more into balance as they add more smite commanders, as they add more commanders that have their normal attack damage boosted. Adding that element, it's just like making the game a little bit more interesting. Like which direction do you go? Do you go with like the burst? Like look at a fight like this. Look at this open field fight right here, right? People are running back and forth, like, you know what I mean? Like people are like fighting for a few seconds, then they're running away. Both sides are doing that to a certain degree. And like even in this garrison, even in my garrison here, right? Like I put the Attila Gorgo in that garrison. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if we would hold the field or if the enemy would hold the field. So I just wanted the most sturdy garrison I could possibly have to make the trade as good as possible if I ended up getting swarmed. And so I just think like I think it's very interesting. I think it's interesting that people can now choose between being a normal attack damage player and a skill damage player. And it's certainly true that skill damage to this day is still the best, right? Like that burst damage, you know, getting all your skills off at once, you know, that's very useful. That's very powerful. And the fact that they have added the rage bar to dot mode also makes skill damage more powerful, because players like me, we can now actually get our skills off more often due to seeing our rage bar. Paranoia says, maxing Eleanor at the moment, plan to do wedge myself, and plus or minus 30% to all stats. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Paranoia. You know, even Adinabo, you know, archer player Adinabo, who has all wedge formation, even Adinabo is saying to people that if you're going to be a garrison, you need arch formation. So, I mean, that does seem to somehow be the consensus now. I guess I was very early on that consensus. Mikri, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. But I don't know for sure, right? Like, I think it's possible that an Eleanor garrison might be better on wedge, right? Like, at least in some situations. Like, your trade against a rally is going to be so much better with wedge, you know? And the question is, do you make up for it with the value you get against the swarmers running arch, you know? Paranoia says, I think smite commanders are gone. Adding next cycle smite that will be inf will completely break game, essentially creating meta rally, meta field, and meta garrisons from having 3 commanders. Yeah, I mean, they have to be careful with it for sure, but I think they've been careful with it so far. I think they've been quite careful with smite damage. I mean, there's literally 2 smite commanders in the game. And this is the other thing, this is what I didn't mention when I was sort of ranting, is like we fought against Crix's Gorgo Lucci in the field. Like Crix from 2268 really liked to run Gorgo Lucci, and it was hard to get a good trade against that Gorgo Lucci, right? Like he had his best gear. I'm sure he had his best gear on that commander. And it was like hard to get a good trade. It was very hard to get a positive trade against that commander or against that march. And so that's sort of what I'm talking about how like normal attack damage is becoming more powerful. And it's also what Paranoia is talking about, where it's like, yeah, it could easily be OP, right? Like if you just have a march that like literally is impossible to trade well against, if you don't also have normal attack damage, that does become very meta and very OP, right? And that was like kind of what Chadsky was doing with his rally, right? Like Chadsky's Attila Lucci, like it was very hard to like trade well against it, right? Like there was like, we didn't really have anything that could trade well against it. It didn't kill things quickly, but like it traded well and it was hard to swarm. And so in a way it was sort of just like an upgraded, like Tariq Pakal or something like that. Or Pakal Herald. It was like an upgraded version of that. And like those kind of rallies are just like hard to deal with, you know? Like they're just very hard to deal with. But let's see what Algebra has to say on this topic. If you run arch rallies on a non-smite damage rally, you will lose every single 1v1 versus 1 trade. If you run arch rallies on a non-smite damage rally. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, right? Like, that's why I'm trying to... You know, my Justinian is on wedge, right? I do want to talk about Justinian a little bit, too. But, yeah, my Justinian is on wedge, right? So, like, I'm planning to run Justinian Nevsky rallies on wedge. Like, there would just be no reason to run it on arch. I've tried it in the past, and like Algebra says, it's, like, really, really bad. Really bad. It says, even arch formation on skill damage garrisons, in my opinion, it's bad. Only if you are getting hard swarmed and have 0 field is it worth it. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of what I was saying too. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure that arch formation is like best, right? Like, I'm not sure that arch formation on my Jan Hera was better than... Like, I'm pretty sure that Anna's Hollow Square was better on her Jan Hera than my than my Jan Hera was on Arch Formation, right? And so Algebra saying I don't agree with that. Uni and my garrisons destroyed Chadsky's rallies 1 versus 1. I mean, look, I did pretty good against Chadsky's rallies as well if they didn't swarm. Like, I mean, if they didn't swarm, then I traded fine against Chadsky's rally. But what am I looking for? What am I looking for? I mean, I can show you like one. I can show you like one thing I did against Chadsky's. Where is it? Where is it? Where did I actually trade? Yeah, okay, so here... Oh no, this has Swarm. I'm not gonna find it. I feel like I'm not gonna find it. Anyway, yeah, I mean, listen, when they didn't, but Algebra, like, the thing is, man, like, when they didn't swarm, like, all of our garrisons traded well. Like, when they didn't swarm, like, we got good trades on a lot of our garrisons. Like, garrisons in general are just, like, very strong. It's easier to reinforce. Like, you can... It's so easy to keep garrisons topped off compared to keeping rallies topped off. But I still think that, like, Attila Lucci is, like, a very good rally. Right? Like, in all the, like, hectic situations where, like, you really don't want to get swarmed, I do think Attila Lucci is, like, a very, very good rally. Right? Paranoia says, I've been running Nevsky Justinian myself. It's harder. Since we register next Orleans, that's when I plan to go Justinian primary, so I can stack his skills without losing field on Nevsky. Yeah, so, okay, so before I talk about Justinian, I just want to go back to, like, what... So, like, what do you guys think is the best rally in the game right now with artifacts? Like, we've got, like, here's what I would say the competition is, right? This is the best... I'm asking, what do you think the best rally is? Is it Tariq, Zug? Is it... Let's say Asher, Tariq. I mean, you can mix that up. You can say Tariq, Asher. But, like, let's just say. Or is it Attila, Lucci? Right? So we're doing, like, Imp, Archers, and Cav, right? And so these are basically the three meta rallies in artifact KvKs. Like, which of these do you guys think is best? Because, like, so of the three, I would say Asher Tariq is the most swarmable, right? It's the most swarmable. And then I would say that, I mean, Tariq Zug versus Attila Lucci in terms of swarm, like, it's easier to swarm the Zug, but, like, the Zug also gets so much value hitting the AoE, hitting marches nearby with their AoE. So, like, I don't know, man. I mean, like, which of these is best? I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you have to say you have to wonder which is best against Gorgo Attila, because Gorgo Attila is, like, the garrison you're going to face the most. And so maybe in that sense, you would say that Asher Tariq is the best of these rallies. I mean, I'd be curious what Algebra has to say, because he, like, actually, you know, went up against all of these and can compare them. But, like, from my perspective as a Cav garrison, the worst of these is actually Attila Lucci, right? Because against Tariq Zug, I can run Jan Flavius, and I can do pretty good against Tariq Zug or Asher Tariq with Jan Flavius. Like, I can do pretty good against either of these by swapping my Cav garrison. But with Attila Lucci, I struggled either way. I could not run Jan Flavius. It would wreck Jan Flavius. And so I would have to run Attila Gorgo. And then it was just normal attack damage against normal attack damage. And I would do okay, but, like, I mean, at the end of the day, when I look at these 3 rallies, to me, they're all like pretty even. Like, I don't think one is like way better than another. I think they're all pretty even. Algebra says it's all situational versus Gorgo. I like Asher Tariq or Tariq Asher. Yeah, I mean, those are good. They're good, but like that one's the most swarmable. Like of the 3 rallies I have listed up here, Asher Tariq is the most swarmable one by far. Like, does Asher have any does Asher have any anti-swarm at all? Does he have any anti-swarm? I mean, he's got a wave. He's got a wave AoE, you know, an 180 degree AoE. He's got 20% attack. Yoshi, hello to you. Shout out to 3217. We were actually talking about 3217 earlier. They take 15% less normal attack damage if the commander is leading a rally attack. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, Asher has no anti-swarm. Asher has no anti-swarm, and I don't think Tariq does either. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that Asher Tariq is quite swarmable. And listen, you can ask yourself, okay, so if that rally was so swarmable, then why didn't we swarm it against 2268? But like, they just dominated us in the field like so hard that like we weren't able to really do much. We weren't able to do much swarming. But at most KvKs against most opponents, you can do like some amount of swarming, right? Like, you know, like they might control the field, but you can pressure their field under your own flag. You can get closer to creating an equilibrium state where like you can actually swarm, you can get a bit of a swarm going on an Asher Tariq rally. And like once that's the case, once you can swarm a rally, I feel like this tier list becomes completely different. I mean, if Asher Tariq is the worst against swarm, then in a lot of wars, it just becomes way worse than these other 2 combos because the other 2 combos are actually kind of good against swarm. And that's all I'm saying with the normal attack damage, and that's all I'm saying with the Attila Lucci, is that it adds a new element to the game. It's not like better than skill damage, but it adds a sturdier element to the game where you can like, you know, you can jump out of a city and do damage for 5 seconds where literally the enemy cannot possibly get a good trade against you. And like that just adds a different element. It adds a different element compared to like, what was the old cheeseburger march? Like, I don't even know what the old, I don't know what the old like best cheeseburger march was, but like it's better than like a Nevsky Joan where like you had to like get a skill, you had to get skills off. You had to get skills off, you know? I'll be honest, I don't even know when this was. What point of KvK was this footage that we're watching right now? Oh, I think this was when like 2268 moved their ball down south or something. And so we tried to like go on the offense. Anyway, yeah, Yoshi, we were just saying that you might get matched up in a KvK with 1862, 1606, and 1365, and how that's like a very tough welcome into Season of Conquest, to be a young kingdom and to have to fight against some real juggernaut kingdoms like 1606 and 1365. That's like a really rough way to enter SOC, and the game should probably figure out a way to make that transition a little bit smoother. Paranoid says Attila Takeda, Pakal Herald, and then it kind of went to LC Alex. Yeah, I guess Pakal Herald was the best cheeseburger march for a long time, you know. But even, you know, as compromised as Pakal Herald was, right? Like as many flaws as Pakal Herald had, and how like now like no one even talks about that march. You never see that march anymore. Like Pakal Herald had like a long lifespan in the game, and it had like a very important role in the game for a very long time. And I just think that goes to show like how big of a deal normal attack damage is and always has been in the game. Paranoia says, but AT was never a good cheeseburger. Whenever I saw that, I just hit it and was always positive. Sean Kirby, welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. Yeah, so speaking about Attila Takeda and stuff, I was looking over. Sean, you didn't miss too much. We're just hanging out, just talking RoK. I'm not gonna lie, my thumbnail for this live stream is very clickbaity, where I said like, "What a week in RoK." That's just pure clickbait. I actually don't think that much happened this week. So you know, like it was just pure clickbait, basically. I basically implied that a lot was going on when actually very little was going on. But, you know, I was looking at Justinian's skills last night because I was thinking about how my Justinian William, like, surprisingly trades well in the field. Even though a bunch of Justinian's skills are rally only. So, like, with Justinian, like, half of his active skill is for rally only. The 30% debuff is only during a rally. And then on his fourth skill, or on his expertise, wait. Yeah, and then on his third skill, the 10% less normal damage taken is also only for rallies. So it was kind of blowing my mind that Justinian was like a pretty good open field commander, even though half of 2 of his skills are only related to rallies. And I think the reason for that is because this fourth skill is like very good when you expertise him. I think this fourth skill is like extremely good. So you get 15% attack, but then more importantly, whenever their troop launches a basic attack against a surrounded target, it has a 30% chance to deal extra direct damage. Damage factor 100 times number of surrounding troops up to 5. So basically, you know, a lot of times when you're fighting in the open field, and also sometimes when you're rallying plus swarming a structure, there's going to be many occasions where like 5 marches are targeting a given target. So basically, Justinian has a 30% chance to deal an extra 500 damage factor on every single basic attack that he does. And I just think this must be like a very, very good skill, considering how solidly Justinian performs in the open field. And what it got me thinking was, you know, Justinian just needs a better pair for rallies, right? Like, his pair right now is Nevsky, and Nevsky is, like, really old. Like, Nevsky's been in the game for a long freaking time. You know, Nevsky is basically 2.5 years old at this point. And for cavalry rallies, Justinian is getting paired with the Nevsky. Now, it begs the question, why do we never see, like, Justinian Zug? Like, why does nobody ever run Justinian Zug, or Justinian Tariq, or Tariq Justinian, or Asher Justinian? Like, why do we never see those combos in Artifact KvKs? Right? Because, I don't know, it just seems like Justinian is, like, actually a pretty good rally commander. And like, if he gets a good pair, if he gets a good new Cav commander, I do think he's good enough to be like that second. I do think Justinian is good enough to be half of a very good Cav rally, right? Because like I said, Cav rallies are fine when they don't get swarmed. And the dude's pretty good in the open field. Like, he actually performs pretty good in the open field. But it begs the question, why does no one run him with Tariq or Zug or Lucci or, you know, why or Asher? Like, why does he never get any run in Artifact KvK rallies? I would love to know the answer to that. I would love to know if a lot of testing has been done. I assume it has been. I assume a lot of testing has been done, but anyway. Anyway, I'm hoping that Justinian has a bright future. Yoshi says you can do Justinian Belly Prime because Justin works really well with Belly Prime. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, certainly from a swarming perspective, they do synergize together. Brian, can you check your achievements? Overlord Theocrat, do you have that achievement? Let me look. Theocrat. Be part of an alliance that controls all of the holy sites in the kingdom? No, I don't have that. How would anybody have that? That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous achievement. How is this even achievable? I mean, I guess if you're in a dead kingdom and you like put your forts, but aren't there like a maximum number of flags? Aren't like all kingdoms, aren't all alliances capped on the number of flags they can build in the home kingdom at like 500? Yoshi, I'm talking about rallies specifically. I'm talking about the meta rallies in Artifact KvKs. And I just think it's interesting that Justinian is not in any of those combos. When he actually seems like pretty good. You know, like, call me crazy, but he seems pretty good. But maybe Tariq and Asher and Zug are just better. I don't know. All right, so I am going to very quickly put this on a KvK with fighting. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and then I'm going to fire up some Champions of Olympia. Yoshi says Justinian is old. He's not that old. He's not that old. And they're just like pass fighting at this point. Oh, are they trying to rally the pass? Or no, did they take the pass? It looks like they've taken the pass already, actually. Looks like they have already taken the pass. Have they burnt these? And they're burning the forts. They're burning 75 forts, 75's forts over here. Okay. So there's going to be some pretty good KP to be gained at this pass over the next several hours as these 2975 forts burn down. But I'm going to put the screen here for just a second, go to the bathroom real quick, and I will be right back. Yeah, so one of these days I will learn how to do a 3-hour stream without having to pee, but that day is not today. Okay, so let's stick to this KvK for a minute here. The D Kingdom Brigade here has moved through the pass as if they want to fight, so let's see what's going on in the open field here before we get into Champions of Olympia. We will do some unranked COO, and so if anybody in the chat wants to play with me, go ahead and just say so in the chat now, and I will give you my chords in game in a moment, and we can play some unranked COO together. Absolutely zero pressure in the unranked Champions of Olympia. You just kind of play, you get your rewards, and you're good to go. Let me turn off simplified graphics here. Both teams are dancing here, neither team wanting to commit. Very interesting how so many open field fights in this game are dances. Even though, let's be real, the correct thing to do here would be to charge in. Like, if you're the red ball here, it looks like you have the numbers advantage. You know, you definitely have the numbers advantage if you're red. And so the play is to just charge right in. The play is for everybody to be very, very aggressive and charge right in. But inevitably, the majority of fights in this game end up being a dance. They end up being a real dance, a back and forth dance, where instead of very quickly determining the winner of a fight, instead, you very slowly determine the winner of a fight. So it looks like 75 is... It looks like they're holding on here. It seemed like they were outnumbered, but they're holding their ground pretty well. It feels like these kingdoms in red are just very passive. They have like almost no one who's willing to whale tank this. And so they just keep backing up. They keep backing up, and that can really be the death knell of your open field effort if you just do not have a sturdy front line. If your front line just keeps collapsing over and over again, it's just very hard to win a fight. It's very, very hard to win a fight this way. And yet the natural, inevitable way that most players and teams fight in Rise of Kingdoms is to just run away. They just run away all the time. And I do it myself. When my screen starts flashing red, I will generally run away and pull the enemy into my teammates. But I think one thing you're seeing here is that very few people from 75 are being pulled in. And this is the consequences of dot mode and the fact that so many players now play this game on a computer with a mouse zoomed out into dot mode. It is, quite frankly, pretty easy to stay in position. It's pretty, you know, you have to be a real uncoordinated noob to get pulled deep into enemy lines these days. And so I think aggressive play is quite important. I think dancing is becoming less and less important as time goes on. And as much as Red Team had either a slight numbers advantage, or at worst, they had even numbers, they are getting wrecked in this fight. They are getting absolutely wrecked in this fight by 75. And if I were 75, I would maybe extinguish these forts right now. This would be a great time to extinguish the forts, because if red team cannot win the open field, then they cannot burn these forts. And I will grant you that these forts are very hard to defend. Like, there are no cities nearby. Is this really the best place to... Are there not better places to put these forts? I haven't played this map before, but, like... Aren't you usually able to put a fort, like, surrounded by cities? Like, can't this fort be back here? Couldn't you have put the fort back here? And it would still extend to the pass? Or it would still touch the pass? Like, why are there forts here? Like, why do they have their forts right here? That seems like really bad, no? But anyway, they're winning the open field. And one of the truisms, or one of the principles of Rise of Kingdoms, is that if you can win the open field, then you can be stupid as hell about everything else. And I'm not saying 2977. I'm not saying that 2975 is stupid as hell. I am saying that they made some diplomatic mistakes in this KvK to end up with a 14 versus 1 in Kingsland. Here's Fuh's account. It looks like Fuh has an account in 2975 as well. Yoshi says, I don't know if this still works, but usually a strat would be to have all 5 marches stack on top of each other, and as you gain rage for all of them, you can then easily yeet it at the enemy with all 5 skills. Yeah, that's definitely the that is definitely the type of aggression that teams want to be using in the open field, is just being aggressive enough to keep the rage bar building. You know, the biggest problem with running away, like red team just did, the biggest problem with dancing back, like red team did, is that you lose your rage bar. You lose your rage. Whereas if you are attacking forward, you keep that rage bar full, and you can potentially, you know, switch targets if need be, and dump all that rage onto a given march. And certainly when you dump all 5 skills onto one target, that's going to be a huge nuke that puts them in the yellow. And if your teammates do the same thing, if your teammates target the same march, you can potentially take an enemy down all the way to the sad face level within 10 seconds if you're dumping all your skills on them. So we have a Pyrrhus Lucci in the field. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. We'll have to take a look at Pyrrhus' skills in a second. See if there's any merit to the Pyrrhus. The Pyrrhus. Very interesting. This player does not have a lot of KP, but they have a very, very high Champions of Olympia score. So when you combine all those things together, and a very low number of helps, you tend to assume that maybe they just don't know what they're doing, right? Because how do you have marches that are this good? You're good enough to be in champion above in Olympia, but then you have very few KP, and you really haven't even done much KP in a given KvK yet. So I'm guessing the Pyrrhus was just like really random, but yeah, Yoshi, you always want to be in the front of the ball, right? Like the biggest key that I work on in the open field is that I want to be in the middle of the ball and I want to be at the front of the ball, right? Because when you're in the middle of the ball, that means that like you're with your teammates, right? You're with your teammates and you're helping establish that actual front line that everyone else is being protected by. And you want to be in the front because you want to be attacking the enemy marches that are at the front. Like, you don't want to be attacking the enemy marches that get pulled in. Let your casual players do that. But if you can be at the front middle of your ball, and you can constantly stay at the front middle of the ball, constantly hitting enemies, doing damage, generating rage, if you can do those things, then you are a high-level open field fighter. If you're doing anything else when you fight in the open field, if you're staying in the back, if you're pulling and running away, if you're fighting on the sides, if you're fighting by yourself somewhere else, then you're not an elite open field fighter. But if you stay with your group right in the middle, right at the front, then you are a certified open field badass. Even if no one ever tells you you are, and even if those wing players or those backline players get more KP and get better trades than you, you the real MVP. Nugget, this is 2975. 2975 is an A kingdom that has Arvix and Pho accounts in the kingdom. Not the main Arvix and Pho accounts, but looks like that sort of group is behind 2975. And they found themselves in this Alliance Invictus KvK. They found themselves in a 14 versus 1. It was just their kingdom entering Kingsland through these 2 gates here, and then through the other 4 gates into the zone. There were 14 enemy kingdoms fighting against them, and you can see rather predictably what has happened, which is that 2975 did indeed lose Kingsland within 1 day, and they are now pushed back to their passes, and just trying to get kill points, I guess. Although I would suggest that they extinguish these forts. As long as they have the field here, which they do have the field, I would go ahead and extinguish the forts. And it looks like they're setting up maybe a rally on this pass. Yep. This is Dirty Dan's new kingdom. So if anybody is interested in seeing what happened earlier today in this war, I'm sure you can watch Dirty Dan's live stream from earlier and see the step-by-step process by which 2975 built into the zone and then was pushed all the way back. What's happening at the other pass, by the way? Oh, so... Boy, what team is this? So what's happening over here? Yeah, so it looks like the enemies have taken the other pass at this point and just, like, have the field on both sides. Which is the kind of thing that happens when you're 14 versus 1. You just get completely overwhelmed. And that's probably why they're not healing these forts, is because, like, they know it would be, like, a futile endeavor, considering literally one screen away, the enemy is just, like, chilling at their other pass. Nugget says that diplomacy wasn't smart at all, made such an awful, unfun KvK. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, the diplomacy was quite wild in this one. I don't know how you end up with a 14 versus 1. But I mean, fair play to them for going with the 2 versus 4. Like, they went for the hard win, right? I mean, maybe we shouldn't bash the rare kingdom that actually goes for the hard win. since most kingdoms that were in 2975's position would have just made this a 3 versus 3 and then probably had like a pretty easy win. Yeah, they had one allied camp. They had Wind Camp, and Wind Camp got locked in, and so that made Kingsland 1 camp versus 3. Because like 75 was able to lock in one of their enemies. They were able to lock in Earth Camp. So it was a 1 versus 3 in Kingsland, camp-wise. But I think the miscalculation here is to think that your 1 alliance is better than 4 or 5 D kingdoms, right? Like, we're the same size as 1975. Like, my kingdom is the same size as them. And I would never for a moment think that we're better than 5 D kingdoms. I would 100% think that like 5 D kingdoms can beat us. Now, I think it would be sort of close, but I do think they would ultimately beat us. Genie rallying here. Very good stats on Genie, for sure. Almost 100 million deads for Genie Lin here. And here's their gear. Here's their armaments. Oh, Vietnamese style armaments, so we can't actually see too much from it. Zug Asher rally against a Gorgo Hera garrison. Interesting to me that the group over here is not like walked over. Oh, they're walking over now, actually. They're actually walking over now in a very disorganized way. To try to flank the 2975 offensive, quote-unquote offensive, that is hitting this pass. You know, if you're in 2975 right now, and you feel like you haven't really hit contribution, now is the time to be jumping in these rallies. This is one of your last chances to get some deads and make your stats look a little bit better when this KvK is over. Because I am sure that one of the reasons why 2975 took this hard KvK is that they have probably had a bunch of easy KvKs in a row. You can see that in the past they've been doing Heroic Anthem. They came into Season of Conquest. They've won 3 straight Heroic Anthems. They have essentially almost never lost a KvK. They've won like 5 KvKs in a row. So at this point, they have a lot of people in their kingdom who are just winners. They're sort of like spoiled winners. And they may or may not be, you know, super dedicated players. They may not be the sort of fighters who will fight hard whether you're winning or whether you're losing. And so they took a hard KvK to essentially filter out some of the people in this kingdom who they no longer want here. Because, you know, listen, when you've got Arvix as one of your officers and you've won 5 KvKs in a row coming out of like the early game, you inevitably have some people in this kingdom who are just like fairly casual players who will fight when winning, but aren't anything special. Nugget says, but the issue is the KvK is already over. Why waste troops? That's why I hate bigger kingdoms. I mean, I think it's fine to be taking deads right now, right? Like, I mean, it's over, but it literally just ended like within the last 12 hours. Like, this thing basically ended within the last like 6 hours. So I mean, if you want to like rally the past just to like, for like whatever reason, I think that's fine. I think it's fine to like I wouldn't do like a full retreat here and be like, let's save every single thing we have. Because you kind of do want to like see who's actually fighting right now. Like to me, the people who are fighting right now are the people you want in the kingdom. Like anybody who's taking deads right now, anybody who's farming additional kill points right now, I think you still want those people in the kingdom. Because yeah, it's quote unquote pointless, but it's still on the same day that you had like a very important fight. And you know, you're losing. Like right now you've lost, like morale is low. So the people who are still showing up, like Joe USA here, I feel like these are the people you want, you know? Yoshi says 1960 used to do that before they met 1093. They would call out a 1 versus 3 or free-for-all KvK, however they call it, to show how strong their kingdom was, and they would dominate the field. Yeah, 1960 definitely pulled it off. You know, 1960 pulled off these like super outnumbered wars. And you know, to be so like back in the day, my kingdom 1770, we actually won like a 2 versus 6 Strife of the 8. If you look back on my channel, there's a bunch of videos of us winning a 2 versus 6 Strife of the 8. But the funny thing about that is that the kingdom we allied with, I forget what number they were, but anyway, they had like a bunch of like Japanese whales. And basically after we won that 2v6, all those Japanese whales, they then migrated to 960. And I don't know if they're still in 960, but they were in 960 for a couple of years. So essentially the same players that helped us win a 2 versus 6 KvK are the same players who then went to 960 and won a bunch of outnumbered KvKs. So the truth is there's like just not that many groups in the game who can win these like super outnumbered fights. And you know, so it's like it's not for everybody, right? Like buyer beware when you sign up for a super outnumbered fight. I like this movement here by 75. This is great movement here, right? This really like lackluster group over here did like a super half-assed ball, like an incredibly half-assed ball. They took their sweet friggin' time walking over here. Like they're still not over here. And so what 75 did was they just moved their entire ball over here and somewhat cleared out this ball. I would keep going. I would keep going and clear out this next ball, actually. I don't know why they're backing up. I don't know why they're backing up. I would clear this thing. Like, clear this ball, man. That's like a nice victory for you. You know, you lost the day, but like take the small wins. Take the small wins and boost morale, you know? I would have gone in on this ball. All these marches that were over here, I would have kept going. Absolutely. Yoshi says, yeah, I don't know what's with the Japanese and Chinese and Korean whale kingdoms, but they fight like crazy, just going at it until they win. I mean, there are not too many good Japanese kingdoms in the game, right? But that was just like this one particular group that was Japanese. And yeah, like when you do find the right Japanese group, they can be very good. Like in the game Lords Mobile, which is sort of the precursor to this game, there's like one Japanese group in the game that's quite good. Or at least there used to be one. But then that's basically about it, right? Yeah, but certainly like Chinese whales and Korean whales in Rise of Kingdoms can certainly make a good argument for being the best of the best when it comes to whaling out and being very effective with those marches. I mean, here we're sort of watching like Vietnamese whales, right? Like this is Vietnamese whales, and they may not be the best at like winning a 14 versus 1, But what I will say about the Vietnamese whales is that they stick together, and their kingdoms stay together, right? So like 2489 is staying together, 2377 is staying together, 1818 is staying together. Like the Vietnamese whales in this game are like very good at like building kingdoms and then keeping their kingdoms going. So it looks like they're trying to collapse this ball now a little bit. They're obviously a little bit distracted at the pass. They're a little distracted at the pass, but the pass is handled. The pass is under control. And so I think the opportunity is over here. And 2975 did not do anything about it at the beginning, but now they're doing it. Now they're collapsing this enemy ball. The enemy is like throwing marches in one at a time. So I think this is going to go very, very well. Very, very well. 2975. And you know, these are the things that you know, like if I'm one of the officers of 2975, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I want. Because your team's in a really bad mood. You just lost the KvK. So your team's in like a really bad mood. But it feels like very, very good to win fights like this. It feels very good to win fights like this, dominate your opponents, and essentially say like, okay, we might have lost this KvK. We might have lost a 14 versus 1. But we're still a very, very strong group. And you can't take that away from us. You might be able to beat us in a KvK, but you cannot take away the fact that we are a very strong group. Only we can take that away from ourselves. You know, the way that strong groups in this game die or are defeated is that they defeat themselves. They break up. Some of their players migrate away, and then the remaining players think, oh, so-and-so migrated away. I guess that means that I need to migrate away too because this group is falling apart. The only way that strong groups die in this game is by them defeating themselves. And so it's good for a group like 2975 to have a little fight like this, or a fight like they just had at the pass, where they beat 4 or 5 kingdoms in the open field all at once, and they just remind themselves, like, we still have these accounts. We still have this collection of players with these very good marches and this very good equipment, and we know how to fight in the open field. And you simply cannot take that away from us. You can take our lives in the Lost Kingdom, but you can never take our freedom to register for a new one. Which is a quote from the movie Braveheart, one of the great movies of all time. A lot of open field fighting in Braveheart. And, you know, the one difference between this game and Braveheart is that in Braveheart, when you killed somebody, the bodies would pile up on the battlefield. That does not happen in Rise of Kingdoms. In Rise of Kingdoms, the dead bodies disperse via Sad Face back to Player City. And that helps with the graphical performance of the game. You don't want dead bodies to pile up, because then it lags the game more and you can't see anything. And so Lilith has taken some lessons from Braveheart. They don't let the dead bodies pile up. They send the dead bodies home. And if they had not done that, then I don't think Rise of Kingdoms would have lasted for 6 years. Lesson to game designers in the future: don't let the dead bodies pile up. Don't make your players step over the dead bodies, as characters do in Shakespeare plays. You know, in Shakespeare plays, you have to step over the dead bodies because everybody dies. But in video games, you need to get rid of the dead bodies. Move them away, get them off the field, and keep the frame rate high. Algebra asks, did they officially surrender? I don't know. I mean, do people, like, officially surrender anymore? Like, I don't think 2268 officially surrendered to us. They just sort of, like, surrendered internally, and then we got the leaked messages. And so then we learned that they were surrendering. So I don't know. I don't know if they have officially surrendered, but at this point, I don't think that it really matters. They have been completely pushed out of Kingsland and lost. They have lost one of their two passes into Kingsland even. So it's all over but the open fielding at this point. But anyway, I'm going to play some Champions of Olympia now to wrap up the stream. That's how we generally wind down on a Friday night. So if anybody does want to play COO with me, I would be happy to add you. You can message me at these chords in Kingdom 1770. You can also just look for the main alliance in 1770, and you can message me as an R4. But let me go ahead and put my equipment on the correct marches here. Nevsky looks right. The Zug. What's better for Olympia? 8% counterattack or Mora's Web? I feel like Mora's Web is better because I'm always gonna be focus firing one march. So we'll give the Mora's Web to the Zug. We've got the dagger on the Guan. The Guan's all set. And let me go ahead and fire up the first game of Champions of Olympia. Actually, let me look at who our opponent is in ARC. Okay. Looks like we've got a pretty, well, they have way more people than us, but they have way less kill points. So I feel pretty good about this matchup. It won't be super easy because they have more people, but the kill points look pretty good. Habitos, welcome to the stream. I'm doing pretty good. We've been going for a while, and we are going to we're going to wind down here with a little COO, a little unranked COO. And let's find ourselves our first match. I hope I set everything up right. I didn't even look. Yeah, okay, I've got Zug. Got old Zugi out front. Oh, I forgot how annoying this map is. Is anyone going mid? The reason this map is annoying is because, like, sometimes nobody goes mid, like right now. And so I just, like, have to go mid, right? It's like, okay, either lose the game or just go mid and harass, like, however many enemy marches are here. Okay, yeah. See, this is why like this map is annoying, is because, like, no one friggin' does what they're supposed to do. Like, now I gotta run around, I gotta, like, click nonstop just to keep our enemies from, like, not just straight losing the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. The way people play this map is ridiculous. Look at, there's 9 of them. There's literally 9 of them mid. Like, I hope that my teammates are winning the sides, because there are literally 9 of these F-wads at the mid. Oh, it looks like they're getting it. Yeah, it looks like they got it. So that sucks. I'm trying to target the apple. I don't know if I've done so. I think I'm targeting the apple. Okay, so we did grab all 5 of the sides. So I feel okay about what I did there, because I made them send 9 people mid. And I feel like we got most of the sides. I mean, what else can you do, right? Okay, so like a very good taunt there. It looks like my teammate taunted them, which is fantastic. Because maybe we can cap this flag. And like, so basically the enemy made like a very big mistake by bringing the apple to our side, right? They made an extremely, extremely big mistake bringing the apple to our side. So I am like in a weird spot here. I just don't want them to pick it up. Like, I'm just like, bro, don't pick this thing up. Like, that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying don't pick this thing up. Right? I'm like completely outnumbered here. But I'm just going to take this fight. Maybe I'm not. I mean, I'm like, it's 4-3. It's 4-3. I'm not like completely outnumbered, but I just want to like wear them down. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have taken this fight. I'm not sure. You can see like you can see the targeting I talked about earlier, where my Guan is still not attacking anyone. Like the targeting in Champions of Olympia is so annoying. Look at my Guan, just like never attacking anybody. It's fucking wild, man. It's absolutely wild. The responsiveness, the lack of responsiveness in Champions of Olympia. But we're playing good here. We've played this game very well so far. The enemy made a big mistake. Yeah, Yoshi, that taunt was nice. That was a very nice taunt by my teammate, for sure. And the enemy gave up very quickly there. I feel like the enemy was fairly good. Like, I feel like they hit pretty hard. Let's see what alliances those opponents were from. But I feel like your boy played a very good game there. Okay, I've 100% not heard of any of these players. Maybe this guy. Maybe 57RD I've heard of. But anyway, looks like a fairly low-ranked game there. That's alright. Pinchahati, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. We're just grinding our unranked Champions of Olympia rewards. If anybody does like playing ranked Olympia and you're around the gold level, like silver, gold, platinum type level player, I do have a group of, I do have an in-game chat group for people who are around that level, because like I'm just like not that good at COO. My marches are not that strong, but I do like to play ranked. I do like to get those rewards, and so I am looking for people around the gold ranked level. Just message me if you're interested in. Oh, I'm outnumbered here, so I'm gonna run away. I'm outnumbered here, so I'll come over here. That's fine. That works. And I got taunted. Good taunt by the enemy. Very good taunt by the enemy. But I will still run away. I'm an experienced runaway person. And I guess we just have like a huge fight here. So I'm just gonna buff my teammates. I'll do a little fighting. I'll potentially go down with the ship. And it is what it is. So the enemy's like running. I guess I'll target over here. With the Tariq. And I'm sad-faced. Okay. But yeah, just message me in the game if you want to get added to my gold-ranked Olympia group. We'll probably play some matches this weekend. We've got about 35 or so people in there right now. Because I just feel like almost all of the ranked Olympia groups in this game are like very, very high skill, high rank type groups. You know, I'm gonna actually... Do these things come back out of the temple, like, immediately? Because I feel like there's an opportunity on this side, right? Like, I feel like these things are going to come out again. Oh, we're getting wrecked. We're getting destroyed. Oh, you know what the other thing I can do is? Just to mess with this, is I can change this. Wait, it's going the direction I want. We are getting destroyed here. I want to be on this Huo. Yeah, see, look, the targeting is so bad, dude. It's so bad. Look at this. I'm like trying to, you know, maybe I need to be in dot mode or something, but like, the targeting is just so bad. Oh, you can't be in dot mode. All right, so we're gonna get this one. We're just gonna grab this. Let me buff this guy. So we're 3. He's 1. I think we can get this done, even though we are very low health. Video games, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm trying to goat it up in this Olympia match. We're trying to make a brilliant comeback here. It's a little questionable. I'm going to come over here to heal. I'm going to speed boost myself over so I can heal faster. But it looks like this... It looks like we just did a lot of very valuable stuff there. Yeah. And I'm healing as this thing gets pressured. Can I heal in time? They're coming for me. I do heal in time. Lil dude. No soup for you. No soup for you. Big fight here. Big fight here. We're gonna cast the silence on the enemy. We're gonna boost everybody. Boost our own marches. And we're gonna just try to find someone to target here. We don't know who we're targeting. We're just gonna target anybody. It looks like the enemy has largely wrapped up this fight. Very interesting. I'm on the Zoog. I'm hitting the Zoog down. The Zoog goes down. I switch targets. I actually switched targets correctly that time. Now I'm going to switch to the Nevsky. Again, okay, so like I'm flowing kind of good here. Flowing sort of okay. My Nevsky Joan trying to clear 3 marches. Can the Nevsky Joan clear 3 marches? Can they do it? They did. Very close match here. Very close match. We have 2 out of the 3 flame bearers again, though, which is quite nice. Which is quite nice. Potentially an MVP performance here for Brian Kuh. We'll see how it goes. So we probably need to get the next... I think we're okay there. I think we're okay at the... I think this flame bearer is okay. A new one is coming out. We're here at this next one. 3 versus 1 against Milk Tea. So we're going to grab this flame bearer as well. We're good here. We're looking good. We're looking good. I'm tempted to come over here and just see what's going on. Just to see what's going on here. Yep. Gosu says, do you guys need infantry, garrison, rally stronger than algebras? Yes, we do. Yes. We need something stronger. So yeah, Gosu, if you feel you have a better garrison and rally than algebra, please migrate over. And we get the W. 2-0 in the night on unranked. Very nice comeback for the good guys in that game. I did not get MVP. This dude with the Pakal Herald got the MVP. But I did bring the pain with the most damage dealt of anybody. Video game says 2.5 weeks and I can be an RoK addict again. Well, congratulations on that, video games. I assume you are getting to the tail end of your military training. You know, as someone who... Azen, I wonder if... is Azen... That name Azen is very familiar. Is Azen the person who runs all the troop discords? Yeah, Azen is the person who runs like all the troop discords, like the Archer Discord and Infantry Fortress and stuff like that. I wonder if this is the same Azen. Probably is. Ghost says, just lost 2 KvKs here. Seriously thinking about migrating. Yeah, Gosu, we could definitely talk about it more. I mean, I think you would be a good fit here in 770. You know? And you would especially be a good fit if you have a better infantry set than Algebra does. Because he's pretty friggin' thick. What's the KP requirement to migrate? Yoshi, we don't really have a KP requirement. I mean, it depends on the age of the account, obviously. And, you know, I would say, like, for a lot of people, you know, you want to have, like at least, like, 2 billion KP, unless you're, like, a super new account. 3 or 4 billion KP is probably, like, better. But for us, a lot of it is, like, we want people who play on PC, ideally. We want people who will get on voice chat during, we want people who will get on voice chat during war. And it really helps if you have a lot of farms as well, right? Like, having a lot of farms is a big plus. Alright, so we seem to be actually targeting people this time, which is nice. Now we spread out and grab from multiple angles. And that's how you do it. So Sedna grabbed the apple. Sedna's headed over here. Let me buff the arc carrier. This new map, I'm not loving the new COO map because it's really hard to tell who owns the flags, right? It's very, very hard to tell who owns the flags. Although I guess now you can see how many marches are at each flag. All right, good apple delivery there for sure. Definitely a good apple delivery for the blue team. Although we're still losing. Yeah, people don't need to talk on VC. It's not about talking on VC, it's about just being on VC to listen to what other people are saying, what leadership is saying, etc. So this is a little bit scratchy here, but it looks like this person only brought back 1 march. Oh no, they brought back 3, they were just invisible. Not a great look for us, but we're kind of hanging in there. We're kind of hanging in there against these 3 calves, so it worked out. The apple is up. Someone grabbed the apple, I'm not sure who. I cannot target this march. I literally cannot target this march. There's too many animations on the screen and stuff, so I cannot target it. GG, go re. Now, where's the apple? Where's it going? Looks like the enemy has the apple. I don't think we can get there in time, but we will try. My team is already throwing up the surrenders, which is a wild... I mean, it's wild to throw up the surrenders already. Maybe it was dumb of me to come over here. I don't know. It may have been dumb of me to come over here, but whatever. Yeah, it was definitely dumb of me to come over here. I guess I'll come back here. They're also going over here. Pretty bad movement by me there, for sure. Trying to hopelessly stop that apple. Maybe I just, do the next apple, right? Oh, God. Yeah, my movement here has been horrendous. There's just no doubt about it. My movement has been absolutely god-awful horrendous. And now I'm not even healing here. I mean, it's just a disaster. When it rains, it pours. And this is just awful. But, I mean, we still have a chance here. If we can get this apple, we're right back in this game. Yoshi says, I'm a 20 million guy with about 548 KP. I run 3 cav marches. Yeah, Yoshi, that sounds great. 20 million? We will, I mean, at 20 million, you can just enter any kingdom you want. But yeah, we'll add you to the, main alliance. No problem. 20 million with 548 KP? That's beastly. So the apple is still up for grabs. Now my teammates are throwing here. My teammates, okay, there we go. Yep, that's good. So I'm just trying to keep hope alive here by disrupting this apple. Let me just throw all the buffs on here for this fight. I'm gonna try and clear out the enemy and then take the apple. I see no other way to do it. We're clearing them. Step 1 is going to be complete. Step 2 may be more difficult. And because here comes another goober. The surrenders here are wild. The surrenders here are absolutely wild. Some people just want to watch the world burn. They just want to play for 3 minutes, surrender, and get their rewards. But I try to win. I do try to win. I don't know if I can get this arc returned on time, but I'm going to take my best shot at it. I'm going to take my best shot at it. Can I get back in time? 18 seconds. It looks like I have just enough time. No, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. But I really don't get the surrender here. I don't get the surrender. I mean, we were literally like 3 seconds away from, well, longer, but anyway. Yeah, my team did not have faith there, Yoshi. My team did not have faith. Video game says I'm on 2 hours of sleep, fucked up my leg, and I'm hella sick from this week's training. That sounds like me right before a pass opening. Alright, so a couple of very close games there. Let's see if we get all our rewards. I think we did. We did. Yeah, so that's all it takes. Just play 3 games of Champions of Olympia, and you get 2 gold heads and about a day's worth of speed ups. So honestly, to me, this is worth doing every week. a little unranked COO. And then ranked is a little bit more involved, but you can get some very good rewards for ranked as well. And we do have the gold ranked Olympia, if anybody wants to get added to this group. You know, we've got like, we're building it. We're building this thing up. We've got like maybe 30 people in here. So yeah, just reach out if you want to join the gold ranked Olympia group and play some ranked Champions of Olympia. I do appreciate everybody hanging out on the stream. Thank you to Algebra, Seba, and Natsu, all members of the chat, for hanging out. Seba, I think I missed your chat earlier, so I apologize for that. And yeah, thanks for everybody hanging out. Video games, appreciate you checking in. Glad things are going well for you, even though you feel like shit right now. I'll be back next Friday with another live stream, and I'm also planning to drop probably 2 more videos next week. So I'm definitely pushing the RoK content these days. If you haven't noticed, some of the big content creators in the space seem to be a little bit burnt out right now and are not doing a lot of stuff. So it feels like an opportunity for some of the small-time creators like myself to grab some audience share. So I'm definitely pushing the content hard these days, and I appreciate everybody's support. Definitely makes it all worth it. And until next time, I will see you all on the flip side.